Chapter 1281 Washed away. Reverse flow river flowed silently. The further they went ahead, the calmer the river surface. However, to the swimmers, reverse flow river was like a torrential tide, it defied all thoughts of traveling ahead. Destruction of the body was not scary, destruction of thoughts and the mind was scary. In the past, even Renzu failed in reverse flow river. These GU immortals were doing the same thing as Renzu now. Damn it, I cannot continue anymore. At the next moment, Yu Yizi reached his limits, he could not continue anymore, he was washed away by the tides. And the second central continent GU immortal, followed by the third. Shi Zhengyi gave it his all, but he failed and was washed away by reverse flow river. Bu Zhenzi was unwilling, but he could only float away. Bai Chentian and the rest were showing ugly expressions as each central continent GU immortal got eliminated. Not long after, out of the central continent GU immortals, only rank 8 Wei Lingyang was left. Being able to reach rank 8, he truly had shocking willpower. Wei Lingyang showed the foundation of a rank 8 great expert. As for those GU immortals who were washed away, they were all gathered by Bai Chentian and went back to the group, they were not obstructed by old ancestor Shuihu, or the dog-tail life-extending ferret Mao Li Chu. Why is it that our GU immortals were all swept away, but these random people are still inside the river? Some central continent GU immortals were very unhappy towards Ying Wuxia's gang and Fang Yuan. At merely rank 6, their willpower is truly shocking. But we were all defeated, they will fail soon. A central continent GU immortal who was just swept out of the river said. But they did not manage to see Fang Yuan or Ying Wuxia fail, before a situation occurred around Ma Hongyun. Ma Hongyun, who was swimming forward, choked on the river water as he was nearly swept away. Be careful, Bai Chentian couldn't help but call out. Ying Wuxia was overjoyed, but soon, Ma Hongyun continued to swim forward, moving his arms. It was just a scare. It's that girl, hee, her willpower is shocking too. Mao Li Chu could see the subtle details. At the crucial moment, Zhao Lianyun had helped Ma Hongyun and stabilized his condition. The truth was, after reverse flow river went back to normal, the river surface became smooth, it did not challenge one's physical stamina as much. Especially towards the upstream, the river became more shallow, but its reflective power against willpower and mental energy became stronger. Hongyun, we cannot be separated anymore. Do you know, in order to be with you again, how much have I experienced, how much hardship have I gone through, and how much I have lost? Zhao Lianyun had lost her voice and could not speak, but at this moment, she had no such energy anyway. Her aged body was unleashing strength that even Zhao Lianyun could not believe she had. Zhao Lianyun had forgotten about her stamina and age, she was purely wanting to be together with Ma Hongyun. Even if they were swimming for their lives, and could not even look at each other. Even if she could not speak, and danger was right behind them. No matter how bad the situation is, I need to persevere. Every minute and second that I spend with him, fighting alongside him, regardless of the situation, I have never been so blissful. Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun continued moving forward, even though they were slow, the situation was stabilizing. It was just a scare. Bai Chentian and the other central continent GU immortals, and even Flood Extremity and Black Extremity, were having their hearts shake from the shock. Old ancestor Shui who snorted coldly, he did not conceal his disappointment. The immortals watched reverse flow river, every action caused deep emotions to form in their hearts. Even though some of them were rank 8 existences, and even though the rank 6 and 7 GU immortals were experts among those with the same cultivation level, elites of their regions. Even my immortal zombie body is feeling tired. Ying Wuxia smiled bitterly. Purple Mountain True Monarch was on his head, pulling Ying Wuxia's hair, he was causing a din as he cried or laughed at times. I am just a split soul of the main body, I have not lived for a long time. But since coming to life, I knew that I had my own responsibilities. Right now, Lord Purple is crazy, I cannot ignore him, he might choke to death in the river, I am Shadow Sect's only hope. Even if I die from exhaustion here, I cannot give up. Only by capturing Zhao Lianyun and Ma Hongyun can I stall for time until Lord Purple awakens again. His duty was making Ying Wuxia persevere. Bai Ningbing gritted her teeth, her chest was pumping up and down. He, she even laughed lightly, her face was distorted, excitement was in her eyes. Exciting. This is truly exciting. In reverse flow river, I have experienced a new type of excitement never felt before, this is the road that Renzu once walked on. Interesting, this is simply too interesting. Even if I fail, this trip was worth it. Even if I die, this life was worth it. He Lulan was filled with anger. How can I stop here? Mother, I have not avenged you yet. I have not killed that man with my own hands yet. Arg, I need to persevere. He Lulan was trembling, she was showing indomitable willpower. However, as time passed, some people could not persevere. Will my excitement end here? I have not taken revenge yet. Bai Ningbing and He Lulan were out of energy, they were washed away. But their safety was ensured, old ancestor Shui who was already waiting for them outside. This way, there were only 6 people left in Reverse Flow River. Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun were still at first place. Ying Wuxie and the Crazy Purple Mountain True Monarch were second. Fang Yuan was third, Wei Lingyang was fourth. There is still hope. Right now, old ancestor Shui whose hopes were all on Ying Wuxie. As long as Ying Wuxie captured Ma and Zhao, old ancestor Shui whose side would gain the initiative, they would be able to threaten Bai Chen Tian and the others, as well as Longevity Heaven's dog-tail life-extending ferret. But if Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun were swept away, then everyone would have a chance, a huge battle would occur, it was unclear who would win. It would depend on their strength and also luck. Lord Wei Lingyang, it will depend on you now. Bai Chen Tian thought, he clenched his fists that were full of sweat. The dog-tail life-extending ferret was laughing. Its eyes were staring at the river, thinking of something. Ah, the glory of heavenly court. A moment later, Wei Lingyang sighed out loud as he reached his limits. Despite his unwillingness, he was washed away by Reverse Flow River. Central Continent's GU Immortals were shocked, they were completely stunned. Someone screamed in disbelief. How can this be? Lord Wei Lingyang is a rank 8 GU Immortal, how could he lose to these people? Swimming in Reverse Flow River has nothing to do with cultivation level, it depends on your willpower. Someone explained. Central Continent's GU Immortals were silent. Did this mean that the great rank 8 Central Continent GU Immortal, Wei Lingyang's willpower, was inferior to these people? Bai Chen Tian slowly spoke. Don't forget, Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun had rested on the floating mound earlier. According to the information, they even had fruits to eat. When Reverse Flow River engulfed everything, they were at the front. The GU Immortals behind them also went through many struggles, their stamina and willpower were greatly expended. The Central Continent GU Immortals finally realized. That's true. Even though Lord Wei Lingyang lost, if they had the same starting point, he would definitely be the victor. Because of Bai Chen Tian's words, the Central Continent GU Immortals' morale stabilized. Bai Chen Tian was expressionless, his mood was heavy. What do we do now? Bai Chen Tian was hesitant. The Central Continent group had a huge disadvantage. The wise choice was to retreat and preserve their strength. They could go to Black Heaven and try to meet with Myriad Tidal Dragon, using the Immortal GU House to see if they could turn this around. There was a third option, it was to stay here and contest for Ma and Zhao with old ancestor Shuihu and the dog-tail life-extending ferret. We should discuss this after Wei Lingyang returns. This was a huge matter. Bai Chen Tian could not make the decision, he was not the leader, Wei Lingyang was. But while they were waiting, another change occurred in Reverse Flow River. I will not give in. Ying Wuxie bellowed as he raised his head, but Reverse Flow River engulfed him as he was swept away. Is it finally ending? Ying Wuxie, die! Fang Yuan screamed internally, he was waiting for this moment all along. He collided heavily with Ying Wuxie. Both sides were fighting in the water, they stopped advancing. This way, Fang Yuan and Ying Wuxie, as well as Purple Mountain True Monarch, could not help but be washed downstream by Reverse Flow River. Sovereign Immortal Body versus the Strength Path Immortal Zombie. Undeniably, Ying Wuxie was at a disadvantage, he was quickly beaten until he suffered bone fractures by Fang Yuan's punches and kicks. But the immortal zombie body was dead to begin with, its only weakness was the brain. Even the heart was not a weakness. Fang Yuan had become an immortal zombie for some time, he naturally knew this, but Ying Wuxie was defending his head, he disregarded the rest of his body and only protected his skull. Undeniably, this was a wise decision. Once he stalled for time and Fang Yuan was swept out of Reverse Flow River, Ying Wuxie would counterattack. Don't forget, He Lulan, Bai Ningbing, and old ancestor Shui who were already outside the river. Among everyone here, Fang Yuan was the only one who was truly alone. He was racing against time. Fang Yuan wanted to kill Ying Wuxie and Purple Mountain True Monarch before they got out of Reverse Flow River. While Ying Wuxie was stalling for time, trying to survive. Fang Yuan was not able to do anything to Ying Wuxie at the moment. Chapter 1282, Surpassing Ren Zhu. The most important reason was, fighting in water greatly affected Fang Yuan's ability to attack consecutively. Because he needed to breathe outside the water at certain intervals. In this aspect, Fang Yuan was inferior to the dead Muling Lan. He was a water path Gu immortal, he had special water path Dao marks that allowed him to breathe underwater. On the other hand, the immortal zombie did not need to breathe, as it was dead to begin with. HMPH. Fang Yuan could not attack successfully, he changed his target towards Purple Mountain True Monarch, who was in Ying Wuxie's arms. Ying Wuxie was worried about Purple Mountain True Monarch's safety, he wanted to try and save him. But Fang Yuan changed his target again, poking at Ying Wuxie's eyes. This was a vicious move. As long as he succeeded, Fang Yuan would be able to stab into Ying Wuxie's brain and end his life for good. Ying Wuxie's heart was jumping, it was too late to defend himself, he fell into despair. However, a change occurred right at this moment. Purple Mountain True Monarch suddenly stood up and charged at Fang Yuan's face. Fang Yuan had the initiative, he could easily defend himself. He grabbed Purple Mountain True Monarch and tried to squeeze his fist and kill Purple Mountain True Monarch. But Purple Mountain True Monarch had unfathomable capabilities, and was a Wisdom Path Gu immortal with deep Wisdom Path Dao mark accumulation. Fang Yuan felt like he was grabbing an eel, it was so slippery. Purple Mountain True Monarch somehow managed to squeeze himself out of his fist. Purple Mountain True Monarch escaped Fang Yuan's demonic clutches, he moved agilely in the water, his wings gave him more mobility. Fang Yuan actually missed all of his attacks. Next, Purple Mountain True Monarch flew to Ying Wuxie and grabbed his shirt, swimming desperately and managing to get free from Fang Yuan. Ying Wuxie was shocked and overjoyed, seeing Purple Mountain True Monarch regain clarity in his eyes, he knew that at this crucial moment of life and death, Purple Mountain True Monarch had regained his senses. This is great, Ying Wuxie was overjoyed, with Purple Mountain True Monarch now clear-headed, they could capture Ma and Zhao again. Quickly leave, Purple Mountain True Monarch carried Ying Wuxie as they moved downstream, rapidly escaping. He was tiny but he had great strength. Lord Purple, Ying Wuxie understood something immediately, as soon, Purple Mountain True Monarch fell into insanity once again. Oh, Ying Wuxie sighed deeply, he knew why Purple Mountain True Monarch wanted to retreat, because his condition was not stable. Because of Purple Mountain True Monarch, Fang Yuan could not eliminate Ying Wuxie. Furthermore, he was lagging behind. He was far from Ma and Zhao. Old Ancestor Shui who had an unhappy expression. Because Ying Wuxie and Purple Mountain True Monarch left, only 3 people were left in Reverse Flow River. They were Ma Hongyun, Zhao Lianyun, and Fang Yuan. Who is this? He is a Northern Plains Gu immortal, but he dares to foil my plan. Old Ancestor Shui who had deep killing intent towards Fang Yuan. He Lu Lan was already standing beside Old Ancestor Shui Hu, hearing Old Ancestor Shui Hu's words, her heart jumped. Fang Yuan clearly had deep enmity with Ying Wuxie, she had to answer this question now. He Lu Lan was a member of Shadow Sect, at this moment, she could not expose Fang Yuan's true identity, but thankfully, he had another identity, so she said, he is Lu Guanyi. Lu Guanyi, the demonic path Gu immortal who killed Yi Lui Qun Xing and cultivates ancient sword dragon transformation. Old Ancestor Shui who was stunned before replying. He knew about Lu Guanyi. Even though he was refining Gu in Snowy Mountain, he still paid attention to the situation in Northern Plains. Because the rank 8 Gu immortals in Northern Plains were all obstacles for him in refining fortune rivaling heaven. As for Lu Guanyi, and Chu Du, Old Ancestor Shui who was not too concerned about them. But to think that this insignificant character was actually foiling his plan at this moment. Ha ha ha, luck is truly on our side. The dog-tail life-extending ferret laughed loudly, waves of noise billowed. Bai Chentian and Wei Lingyang had gathered together, Central Continent's Gu immortals waited solemnly. They had chosen to stay and wait for a chance. Old Ancestor Shui Hu, He Lu Lan, and Bai Ningbing stood together. The 3 parties were all at the starting point, waiting for Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun to be swept away. Fairy Lianyun, Ma Hongyun, you can come out now, even if us Gu immortals of Central Continent have to sacrifice our lives, we will defend you. Wei Lingyang called out. Laughable, you Central Continent fellows want to snatch them from me, Grandpa Mao. The dog-tail life-extending ferret, Mao Li Chu, was furious and spoke in displeasure. Black Extremity was worried that Mao Li Chu's scary appearance would frighten Ma Hongyun, he quickly added, Ma Hongyun, you are acknowledged by fortune rivaling heaven immortal Gu and have giant sun's bloodline, you are a member of Longevity Heaven. Longevity Heaven is the origin of our bloodline, it is the grotto heaven of Ancestor Giant Sun. We are here to bring you home. Old Ancestor Shui Hu snorted, pressuring Fang Yuan. Lu Guanyi, if you can capture Ma and Zhao, I will allow you to become the 3rd peak lord of Snowy Mountain. I, Shui Hu, am one to hold my word, you can rest assured. If you succeed, I will back you up, your future cultivation journey will be smooth sailing. Hearing this, the other GU immortals started to look at Fang Yuan again. Fang Yuan lost the chance to kill Ying Wuxie. There was no other way. He had tried his best. But the foundation of rank 8 was immense, the advantage of the strength path immortal zombie body in reverse flow river and most importantly, Purple Mountain True Monarch's moment of clarity pushed him towards the abyss of failure. I failed again. Fang Yuan gritted his teeth. The situation was horrible for him. Out of the 3 rank 8 existences outside the river, he could only join old ancestor Shui Hu. But old ancestor Shui Hu was with the members of Shadow Sect. If I leave reverse flow river, these 3 rank 8s will attack me. My speed cannot match Wei Fengzi, even with myriad self and familiar face, the hope of escaping from them is likely very slim. Fang Yuan was very clear on his current situation. However, if I can capture Ma and Zhao, I will have the best bargaining chips. Central Continent and Longevity Heaven will be willing to transact, not to mention old ancestor Shui Hu as well, by then, I could use them to help eliminate Shadow Sect. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan stared at Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun. He swam upstream, charging towards the 2 of them. Ma and Zhao saw Fang Yuan's movement, they were the only ones ahead of him now, his animosity was obvious. Ma and Zhao could only grit their teeth and continue swimming. Persevere, I have just escaped from Snowy Mountain, I cannot be captured again. There is also Lady Xiaoyun, she became like this because of me, I need to save her. Thus, I need to persevere. Ma Hongyun, you can do it, work hard. Ma Hongyun gritted his teeth. He desperately swam, even though he was very tired, he had strong driving force in his heart. Fang Yuan's speed was faster than Ma and Zhao. But because he had fought with Ying Wuxie earlier, he was pushed back by reverse flow river for some time. Thus, Ma and Zhao were very safe, unless they could not hold on anymore. As time passed, this mystical competition was reaching its end. Outside the river, large numbers of GU immortals were observing the 3 people in reverse flow river. At this time, Zhao Lianyun's expression suddenly changed. While swimming, her legs had touched the ground. Next, she subconsciously stepped on the ground and stood up from reverse flow river, her head and shoulders was exposed above the water. This change made both her and Ma Hongyun extremely joyful. How could this happen? Flood Extremity was extremely shocked. The dog-tail life-extending ferret yawned. Are you ignorant? Upstream in reverse flow river, it gets shallower and shallower, did you people not read less than the legends of Ren Zhu greater than? Back then, Ren Zhu wanted to walk out of reverse flow river, he failed at the last step. So it is like this. Mao Li Chu spoke loudly, the Central Continent GU immortals finally realized it. Unknowingly, the 2 of them have already reached the end. Look, they are only 100 steps away from the shore. Does this mean Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun will be able to break the record and achieve what Ren Zhu could not do, forcefully getting out of reverse flow river from the front? That might not be. Ren Zhu had swam from the bottom of the river, Ma and Zhao had a much easier time. Even so, this is a grand feat. That's right, their willpower is simply shocking. The GU immortals were all discussing this. Even Mao Li Chu was moved. This is true, Ma Hongyun is really something. He might be able to charge out of reverse flow river. Hee. Black Extremity and Flood Extremity looked at each other, the former said arrogantly, as expected of the person chosen by fortune rivaling heaven immortal GU. Fang Yuan was still swimming, trying to reach them, when Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun were already walking in reverse flow river. Almost all the GU immortals were looking at Ma and Zhao. The immortals wanted to know if these 2 could break the record of human history, and in a sense, surpass Ren Zhu and walk out of reverse flow river from the front. One step at a time. Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun supported each other, as they walked forward shakily but with determination. They were extremely tired, their bodies were numb, but they still persevered. Almost every step, their bodies would shake like tree branches in the wind. It would not be strange if any of them fainted at the very next moment. But in this condition, they continued to advance. This situation created a huge impact on these immortals' hearts. What sort of willpower is this? Is this the power of love? The 2 of them are supporting each other through thick and thin, and are walking side by side. Regardless of the result, I feel deep admiration towards the 2 of them. The river water's turbulence gradually stopped. As Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun finally approached the end of the river, everyone held their breaths in anticipation. Chapter 1283. Immemorial Secrets of Reverse Flow River. Am I going to fail? Fang Yuan was still swimming. Seeing this, his heart sank. No, until the final moment, I still have a chance, I cannot give up. The final step. Bai Chen cried out. The immortals did not dare to breathe loudly, they were nervous, staring at this grand moment. Grandpa Mao, get ready to save Ma Hongyun, we will fight for them the moment they get out. Black Extremity transmitted, reminding the dog-tail life-extending ferret. But the latter replied, no need. Grandpa Mao, what do you mean? Black Extremity was anxious. Because now, Ma Hongyun was holding Zhao Lianyun's hand, taking the final step. His left leg was still in reverse flow river, but right now, the river water was not even at the sole of his left foot. Meanwhile, his right foot was already in the air, about to step out of the river. At this moment, nobody could stop Ma Hongyun, unless Zhao Lianyun went crazy or if Ma Hongyun gave up. But none of these happened. Ma Hongyun took a step forward. Ping, with a soft sound, water splattered. He stepped on water. Why is there water? Ma Hongyun was stunned, Zhao Lianyun was also dazed. They saw clearly that when Ma Hongyun took the final step, the river water also moved forward by a little. Thus, Ma Hongyun was still in reverse flow river. How can this be? Ma Hongyun could not believe it. He gritted his teeth and took a second step. This time, a similar thing happened. Reverse flow river moved ahead again, causing him to remain in the river. The immortals were shocked. How could reverse flow river do this? This was simply too shameless. Ha ha ha, Mao Lichu suddenly laughed out loud. This is too fun, this is too fun. Look at your faces, ha ha ha, this is too funny, too funny. The immortals' expressions changed. Black Extremity understood something after recalling Mao Lichu's earlier words. He realized at once that Mao Lichu was sure Ma Hongyun could not step out of reverse flow river, that was why it was so calm and did not try to snatch them. Grandpa Mao, what is going on? Flood Extremity was impatient, he asked curiously. Ha ha ha, you fools, look at your faces. Mao Lichu was laughing as his claws slammed on the ground, he was extremely overjoyed. Reverse flow river itself is like this. It has upstream and downstream parts, but it is impossible to try and forcefully leave the river from upstream. Because reverse flow river has no end. Every step you take at the final stretch of the river would just create a new extension of the river. During the immemorial era, Ren Zhu wanted to save his son, but fate Gu dictated the life and death of all beings. How can a dead person have a second life? That was against the rules of heaven and earth. Thus, wisdom Gu did not tell Ren Zhu that there was such a mystical aspect in reverse flow river. Ha ha ha, this is too funny, to think that we would encounter something so funny. Mao Lichu said this as it laughed maniacally, it even rolled on the ground, patting its tummy. The immortals' expressions completely changed. This was an immemorial secret. Everyone was hearing it for the first time. This means that in the legends, wisdom Gu entrapped Ren Zhu. Ren Zhu failed at the final step, but the truth is there was no final step. Because reverse flow river is endless to begin with. This is a scheme. Wisdom Gu specially set this trap. Wait, does that mean that Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun are trapped inside reverse flow river forever? Someone said that and reminded everyone. The immortals turned their gazes towards reverse flow river. But this time, they paid no attention to Ma and Zhao, they were looking at Fang Yuan who was not far behind. Fang Yuan, he did not give up. As a result of his perseverance, there was a huge opportunity now. This Lu Guanyi was not swept away, he is still persevering, he is very close to Ma and Zhao now. That means with his speed, he can definitely catch up to Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun. Lu Guanyi has immense battle strength, the battle earlier states everything. He had fought Lord Bai Chen evenly in reverse flow river. The other Gu immortals were all eliminated. Only Fang Yuan, Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun were left. Right now, even if the Gu immortals outside reverse flow river wanted to catch up to them, there was no time. And more importantly, they were all eliminated, all of their mental energy regarding swimming upstream had been consumed, they had no determination to swim in reverse flow river anymore for this period of time. Damn it, the only hope now is that Lu Guanyi will overly exert himself. Bai Chen thought about it, his forehead was full of sweat. He suddenly reminded Ma and Zhao, walk slowly, don't rush, as long as you maintain your current speed, you can stay in reverse flow river. Bai Chen had fought with Fang Yuan, he knew about Fang Yuan's immense strength when fighting in reverse flow river. On this point, Ying Wuxie, who had just escaped from reverse flow river, could prove it with his injuries. He had Purple Mountain True Monarch's help and was an immortal zombie, but he was still one step away from dying. Thus, with Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun on Central Continent's side, they should avoid meeting with Fang Yuan. They needed to stall for time until Fang Yuan could no longer persevere. This was Central Continent's only hope of victory. But Fang Yuan continued moving ahead. He was not fast, but compared to the turtle-like speed of Ma and Zhao, he was like a rocket. Not long after, he also stood on the riverbed. He was just 100 steps away from Ma and Zhao. Old ancestor Shui who suddenly spoke. Very good, Lu Guanyi, capture the two of them. You can ask for any request from me. Right now, you are wanted by both Lu tribe and Yi Lui tribe, but if you hand them to me, I will be your ally. Anyone who tries to deal with you will have to face me, Shui Hu. Wei Lingyang was stunned. He also spoke. Lu Guanyi, we are Central Continent's 10 great sects, as well as Heavenly Court's members. If you can protect them, you can join Central Continent. We can modify your immortal aperture and let you adapt to Central Continent's heaven and earth chi. You will become a true Central Continent GU immortal. After this merit, Central Continent will not disappoint you. Whatever old ancestor Shui Hu can give you, we can give you several times that, or even tens of times as many benefits to you. HMPH. Lu Guanyi, even though you do not have the Huangjin bloodline, as long as you protect both Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun, and hand them to Longevity Heaven, we can make an exception and allow you to become our external Supreme Elder. Joining Longevity Heaven will grant you unthinkable benefits. You will be in Northern Plains' righteous path and not demonic path. Not only will you no longer be wanted by anyone, all the Huangjin tribes will welcome you. Flood Extremity also said in response. Chapter 1284. Ma Hongyun's death. This was indeed a funny situation. All three sides gave Fang Yuan attractive offers. Fang Yuan's position was too advantageous. If he succeeded in this attempt, regardless of which side he joined, he would gain great benefits. However, Fang Yuan did not respond. He had no spare energy to speak. He stepped on the riverbed as he stood up and walked ahead. He knew that talking was pointless. Only by capturing Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun could he qualify to make conditions and negotiate with the three forces outside. The distance was shrinking. The people outside Reverse Flow River were watching Fang Yuan's movements. Some were speaking and trying to raise their offers. But there was something strange. Nobody said anything to threaten Fang Yuan. Because everyone knew that Fang Yuan's public identity, Lu Guanyi, was someone who could kill Yi Lui Qunxing. He had outstanding battle strength and even dared to offend Lu tribe. He was a vicious and lawless person. Threatening such a person would only have negative consequences. I must live, I want to be together with Hongyun. Zhao Lianyun sobbed. She chanted in her heart. Every step was difficult for her. She was inching forward slowly. I am here, I am right here. Don't be afraid, Xiaoyun, I will protect you. Ma Hongyun was pale as paper. He was holding Zhao Lianyun's arm as his vision turned dark. Every step he took, he felt an assault of intense dizziness. He felt that he would collapse at any moment. Where are you two going? Fang Yuan's voice came from behind Ma Hongyun. Ma and Zhao shook. They turned around. Fang Yuan's hands were already on the shoulders of both Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun. No. At this moment, Ma Hongyun shouted loudly, pushing Zhao Lianyun away as he charged at Fang Yuan. But how could Fang Yuan allow Ma Hongyun to succeed? Earlier, he failed to deal with Ying Wuxie and Purple Mountain True Monarch. Fang Yuan was already furious. Dealing with Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun, a mortal and a false immortal, it was too easy. After some dazzling moves that made Ma Hongyun's head spin, the two were subdued by Fang Yuan in turn. They were carried in each of his arms, unable to move. Ma and Zhao reacted, struggling intensely. But at this moment, Fang Yuan's cold voice spoke. Move and I will kill the person you love. Instantly, Ma and Zhao shuddered. They looked at Fang Yuan with immense fear. Fang Yuan's words targeted their greatest weakness. Fang Yuan let out a breath of air. He carried these two captives as he walked forward. In this dangerous situation, Fang Yuan had finally found a way to survive. He looked outside the river, saying, we can negotiate now. Ha ha ha, lad, you are quite good. You are like me back in the day, we can talk it through. Old ancestor Shui Hu laughed. Don't be rash, Central Continent can satisfy your needs. Wei Lingyang also said. Boring. Mao Lichu pouted, lying on the ground as it wagged its tail, relaxing. Black Extremity smiled bitterly. Lu Guanyi, just tell us what you want him. At this moment, a change occurred. Ma Hongyun suddenly stopped breathing. He was dead. The immortals were shocked. There was pure silence. At once, even Fang Yuan was shocked. I did not exert any strength. Oh wait, Ma Hongyun died of exhaustion. He carried Zhao Lianyun as they traveled in the river. he was completely overexerting himself, surpassing his limits. Eventually, not only was he out of stamina, he was also drained of mental energy. After I caught him, his body relaxed and he died immediately. Fang Yuan quickly understood. This change caught him off guard. Ma Hongyun was dead. The immortals gasped. Damn it, Lu Guanyi, you actually killed him. I will tear your bones and tendons out, I will make sure you die a terrible death. Old ancestor Shui Hu fell into a rage, he screamed loudly as his eyes turned red. Ma Hongyun died, the effect of fortune rivaling heaven also completely dissipated. Only a living Ma Hongyun had value as an immortal material. A dead Ma Hongyun was just a rank 5 GU master corpse. This was why Lady Wan Shou had been keeping Ma Hongyun alive and did not kill him before trying to refine the GU. Like the spring dream fruit tree, luck path immortal materials also had a special trait. If it was a living luck path immortal material, it had to be alive. Refining the luck path immortal GU would require a living refinement in that case. Ma Hongyun, Bai Chentian and Wei Lingyang were downcast. Little worm, you actually killed Ma Hongyun, you squeezed him to death. Mao Lichu shouted even more loudly than old ancestor Shui Hu. It was furious and bared its sharp fangs, it was agitated and its hair was standing, it was ready to pounce to devour Fang Yuan alive. Ma Hongyun actually died. Never mind, I still have Zhao Lianyun. Fang Yuan held in his shock. Zhao Lianyun was covered in tears. Hongyun, Hongyun. The person she loved had died right in front of her. Unparalleled grief and sadness assaulted her and overwhelmed her like a tsunami. But she could not scream, she could not shout, she was unable to emit any sound. She could only scream in her heart and cry. She had spent so much effort to reach this step, she had just reunited with Ma Hongyun, when they were separated for good. What was Zhao Lianyun going to do now? Her tears flowed like a river, the pain was engraved in her soul, extreme grief was causing her to tremble intensely. Oh no, Fang Yuan quickly made a move, wanting to knock out Zhao Lianyun. It was to prevent Zhao Lianyun from dying on the spot as well from grief. However, right when Fang Yuan was about to hit Zhao Lianyun's neck, a blue light burst out from Zhao Lianyun's body. Rank 9 Love Immortal GU. At the most critical moment, it displayed its might again. This aura rank 9 Love GU. Wait, aren't GU worms unable to be used in reverse flow river? Flood Extremity called out. Mao Lichu rolled its eyes. Are you stupid? How can anything be absolute in this world? Reverse flow river is a secluded domain of heaven and earth, it is filled with Dao marks, preventing GU worms from being used. But if it is a rank 9 immortal GU, they are not Dao marks but fragments of the great Dao. And a fragment of the great Dao cannot be suppressed by reverse flow river's Dao marks, the immortal Gu's power can be used. Save him, even if I have to sacrifice my life. Zhao Lianyun was overjoyed, she screamed in her heart. But Love Immortal GU could not be controlled, the blue light brought Zhao Lianyun into the sky, escaping reverse flow river. It then went to Wei Lingyang and Bai Chentian, the speed was simply too fast to react to. Meanwhile, Ma Hongyun's corpse remained. Fang Yuan was holding onto it. Even though Ma Hongyun died, his soul was still in his body. But old ancestor Shui Hu lost all interest in this corpse already. If reviving Ma Hongyun would help, Lady Wan Shou would not have used this difficult living refinement method. Mao Lichu was staring at Fang Yuan, ready to attack. Fang Yuan had grasped the chance earlier, but to think that this sudden change would cause Fang Yuan to fall into even bigger danger than before. Such a mishap, it is definitely heaven's will. Instantly, Fang Yuan understood. He had fallen into reverse flow river, his immortal GU were ineffective, after such a long time passed, heaven's will had already started its plotting. He was first swept into reverse flow river, followed by the events of Purple Mountain True Monarch and Ying Wuxie, and finally, Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun. Heaven's will. Fang Yuan raised his head. At this moment, he was completely trapped. Not just old ancestor Shui Hu, Mao Lichu, and Central Continent's GU immortals, even heaven's will was everywhere, trying desperately to eliminate this biggest uncontrollable factor. A desperate situation then, what should I do? Fang Yuan's mouth was dry. But from start to finish, he was expressionless. He could not think of a way, just old ancestor Shui Hu alone was an enemy Fang Yuan could not face. That giant purple ferret was unfathomable, it was giant sun immortal Venerable's steed. Not to mention the other GU immortals. Fang Yuan had no way, he could only continue moving in reverse flow river. The clamoring of the GU immortals around him continued. Lu Guanyi, you cannot escape death today. You committed so much evil, you have done yourself in today, the fact that you are in this state is truly heaven's judgment. Kill him, we need to kill him, he actually foiled our plans. Do you know that you killed someone you could not touch? You will die for sure today. Howl, the dog-tail life-extending ferret howled, sound waves resounded endlessly, if not for Reverse Flow River, it would have attacked Fang Yuan already. I have no choice now. If Reverse Flow River sweeps me out, with my current methods, there is little chance of escaping. Fang Yuan was completely stumped. He could only continue moving forward in Reverse Flow River. Step by step, he was at the front already. Every step he took, Reverse Flow River would move forward by a bit, causing Fang Yuan to stay in the river forever. Reverse Flow River had no end. This was a form of despair. But Fang Yuan did not feel anything. In my life, I have experienced too many instances of despair. Fang Yuan sighed internally. His gaze was clear, he was still expressionless. In the current situation, I can only wait for the three sides to fight, I will then be able to escape. I can only persevere in this river. Fang Yuan thought. Step by step, time passed, the GU immortals who were waiting for Fang Yuan to be swept out became frustrated. Is he going to stop? What's the point of moving forward in Reverse Flow River? You will still die. Come out, you coward, I will kill you with one slap. It is hopeless now, Lu Guanyi, suiciding is the only way you can retain your honor. Some GU immortals were laughing, some were watching coldly. In their opinion, Fang Yuan was just struggling futilely. If you think that there will be a chance to escape when we fight, you can forget about it. Today, I only have one target, that is you. Do you know how much of a price I've paid to refine fortune rivaling heaven GU? You foiled my cultivation plan, you are the person I hate most in my life. If I do not kill you, I will never be appeased. Old Ancestor Shui who looked at Fang Yuan with deep hatred, his words were like an icy river pouring on Fang Yuan. But Fang Yuan was still expressionless. He was like a rock, a deaf person, anyone's words, be it threats or promises, had no effect on him. As time passed, Fang Yuan continued to move forward. Unknowingly, the growling of the dog-tail life-extending ferret, Mao Li Chu, became softer. This giant purple ferret's expression had changed. It spoke in a weird and incredulous tone, looking at Fang Yuan, no way. What? Black Extremity was confused. At this moment, old ancestor Shui Hu, Bai Chen Tian, and Wei Lingyang also had changes in their expressions. They sensed something. Soon, the other GU immortals present were stirred up, they quickly shouted. This is a GU worm's aura. But it doesn't seem like it. What GU worm? Impossible, does he also have a rank 9 immortal GU? This is weird, this is not an immortal Gu's aura, or rather, it is not complete, this is so strange. Suddenly, Yu Yi's eyes shined, he guessed the truth as he said, this situation, he is refining GU. A GU immortal immediately mocked, how can that be? Refining GU in Reverse Flow River. That was true, GU worms could not be used in Reverse Flow River, unless it was a rank 9 immortal GU. Even though Fang Yuan had Wisdom GU, it was inside Langya Blessed Land, he could not use any GU worms, not to mention refining GU. Fang Yuan also felt the change inside his body. He was expressionless, but he was shocked on the inside, it seems I really am refining GU. What is going on? Every step I take, the aura in my body strengthens. What is going on? Even though Fang Yuan did not understand it, he knew that this was a turning point. The situation was at its worst, no matter what, Fang Yuan wanted to try. He continued to move forward. Step by step, he walked steadily, he was expressionless, but it gave others a feeling of strength. Why does he show no expression? A GU immortal suddenly asked. The immortals finally reacted. That was true, other than Fang Yuan, everyone else who had been in this situation had distorted expressions, they were in pain, or they were going crazy or sobbing. But why was Fang Yuan expressionless from start to finish? The immortals were silent, they all knew that the person who asked this question actually was asking about something else. And that was, why is this Lu Guanyi able to persevere for so long? Furthermore, he seems to be able to continue, it seems like he can persevere forever. How is it possible? Everyone was eliminated, swept away by Reverse Flow River. How could he remain here with so much remaining strength? Why was it him? Why was it him? Nobody could answer that, the GU immortals were all silent. A moment later, as Fang Yuan continued to advance, the GU worm aura in his body continued to strength, it was at its peak. Soon, from inside Fang Yuan's body to the outside, he started to shine in a bright pure white light. It really became like this. Mao Lichu saw this and his eyes were staring wide open, he was gaping, unable to believe the sight in front of him. Grandpa Mao, what is going on? Black Extremity could not endure it, he asked. Sigh, at this point, there is no reason in me hiding it anymore. Mao Lichu sighed deeply, showing a defeated look on his face. There is an immortal Gu nurturing inside his body. This immortal Gu's name is Perseverance. Mao Lichu said some shocking things. Perseverance immortal Gu. Black Extremity was extremely shocked. The other Gu immortals were too. It is said in less than the legends of Ren Zhu greater than that Perseverance immortal Gu was the crucial immortal Gu that could allow the user to conquer Reverse Flow River. Isn't it just a legend? Yu Yizi asked. No, it exists. Bai Chentian said, he was a heavenly court Gu immortal, he knew many ancient secrets. There was a person who had once owned it, that person was a former leader of heavenly court, Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable. Wei Lingyang added. What? The immortals went into shock again. But we had never expected the refinement method of Perseverance Immortal Gu to be like this. Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable had never mentioned it. Bai Chentian sighed and shook his head. Of course he didn't. This is a shameful event in his life. He. Mao Lichu interjected, it was very interested in anything that would ruin Heavenly Court's reputation. These words made Shi Zhengyi shout. Rubbish, how dare you slander the reputation of an immortal venerable. Daring to yell at a legendary immemorial desolate beast, Shi Zhengyi was truly courageous, many Central Continent Gu immortals were worried for him. Mao Lichu did not get angry. Little boy, what do you know? Immortal Venerable or Demon Venerable, even if they have high cultivation level, they are still human. Humans have emotions, they have flaws, they have weaknesses. Back then, Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable charged through Reverse Flow River and was trapped inside, unable to escape. Eventually, he painstakingly traveled to the end of the river and refined Perseverance Immortal Gu in his body. From then on, he conquered Reverse Flow River and became the first Reverse Flow River Lord in history. The first Reverse Flow River Lord. Even old ancestor Shui Hu was shocked. This Reverse Flow River had been his for so long, he did not think there were such secrets. This means, at once, the immortal's gazes landed on Fang Yuan. Mao Lichu sighed, with his gaze fixed on Fang Yuan who was bathed in white light, he said helplessly, that is true. At this rate, he will refine Perseverance Immortal Gu and become the second Reverse Flow River Lord. The immortals were lost for words, they looked at Fang Yuan, who continued moving forward. He was expressionless, no matter how many steps he took, Reverse Flow River was always still below his feet, as if fate was mocking and laughing at him. But he continued walking. He had traveled through 500 years of experiences over his previous life, he did not know how much longer he would have to walk. But he knew where he needed to go. As if nobody could stop him. At least inside this river, nobody could stop him. In the 500 years of his previous life, Fang Yuan sat inside the bamboo house, he looked at the village, he looked at Qingmao Mountain. His fists were clenched, hope was displayed all over his young and tender face. It is time to give up the past. Transmigrating here is my greatest opportunity. Because here, I can attain eternal life. I have to make good use of this rare opportunity. Otherwise, how can I live with myself, how can I give up this chance? Of course, right now, I need to improve the living conditions of me and my brother. That little fellow. After the Aperture Awakening, on the battle stage, Fang Yuan lowered his head, he was filled with shock and anger. I was set up. Who set me up? Who does not want me to win in battle? The answer is obvious. Brother, give up, you are not my match. Because of our differing aptitude, we are fated to be different. Gu Fang Zheng said with glee and smugness in front of him. Fang Yuan turned around and left, he was filled with determination. Since the village refuses to nurture me, since my aunt and uncle are purposely pushing me aside, what is the point of staying here? If I stay here, will I be able to get stronger and gain eternal life? Why don't I leave? Inside the caravan, Gu Master Big Beard died, Fang Yuan stood in front of his grave. The youngster was filled with tears, he sobbed, Uncle Big Beard, rest in peace. Thank you for the final present. You said, when you were a child, you wanted to be a grand hero, like those legendary figures of the righteous path. When you were a youngster, you wanted to be a clan leader. When you were an adult, you were satisfied with becoming a clan elder. When you were a middle-aged man, you were exiled from the clan, you felt that you could live by yourself just as well, you were satisfied with just raising your Gu worms and yourself. But I am not like this, I will not forego my dreams just because of age. This world is too big, but we are all minor characters. I will work hard. I will definitely do my best. Childhood, adolescence, adulthood. Qingmao Mountain, caravan, he walked all along. Middle age, old age, and eventually, lifespan GU. Southern border, western desert, eastern sea, and central continent. After his rebirth using spring-autumn cicada, Qingmao Mountain, Three Kings Blessed Land, Hu Immortal Blessed Land, Imperial Court Blessed Land, Yi Tian Mountain, and Reverse Flow River. Step by step, through difficulties and ordeals. Bai Chen frowned. He stared at Fang Yuan's figure, thinking, what sort of willpower is this? Why does he persevere? What makes him persevere to this extent? Old ancestor Shui Hu snorted coldly, solemnness showed in his eyes. He no longer looked down on this rank 7 GU immortal. This means, there was Genesis Lotus 300,000 years ago, and now, there is Lu Guanyi the Reverse Flow River Lord. Mao Li Chu looked at the light on Fang Yuan's body. There was nothing it could do. It bore its fangs and scratched the ground with its claws, causing deep marks to form. Bai Ningbing's and He Lulan's eyelids were twitching, they were evidently moved. Zhao Lianyun had woken up. She looked at Ma Hongyun's corpse, held in Fang Yuan's arm. Her tears were flowing out. She cried in her heart, Hongyun, how could you leave me like this? Without you, I am all alone in this world. What is the point of living? Do you know, the perseverance of one person is so difficult. How difficult is the perseverance of one person? All of the GU immortals here could answer that question. Because among them, some persevered because of responsibility, some persevered because of hatred, some persevered because of excitement, and some persevered because of love. And Fang Yuan's answer? He was still expressionless. He continued to move forward relentlessly. I had once screamed, gradually, I lost my voice. I had once cried, gradually, I lost my tears. I had once grieved, gradually, I became able to withstand everything. I had once rejoiced, gradually, I became unmoved by the world. And now, all I have left is an expressionless face, my gaze is as tough as a monolith, only perseverance remains in my heart. This is my own, an insignificant character, Fang Yuan's, perseverance. A dazzling light erupted out. Perseverance Immortal GU, at this moment, was refined successfully. Chapter 1286, Wisely Urging Old Ancestor Shui Hu. Perseverance Immortal GU, at this moment, was refined successfully. Outside Reverse Flow River, the immortals who saw this all fell into dead silence. They watched as Reverse Flow River continued to flow slowly. A rank 7 GU immortal, with the appearance of a young man wearing a long white robe, with long hair and deep dark eyes, was standing in the water. He was as free as the wind. He actually managed to refine Perseverance Immortal GU. Bai Ningbing muttered, having complex emotions. He actually did the same thing as Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable. The Central Continent GU immortals could not believe this. Look guys, he is no longer moving forward, he is standing on the spot. Reverse Flow River is no longer sweeping him away. Shi Zhengyi pointed and shouted. Fang Yuan shut his eyes, half his attention was inside his immortal aperture. A brand new immortal GU had formed completely, appearing in his immortal aperture. Perseverance Immortal GU. It was like a monolith, it was huge, at the size of a giant whale. The bottom was wide while the top was thin, it was squarish and metallic black, the sides were very straight. At one glance, it looked like a rock that could not be eroded by the sea in the span of 10,000 years, it was like a huge rock that could not be melted by magma over the ages. It was really a very special immortal GU. Because in terms of size, it was the largest immortal GU Fang Yuan had ever seen. Rank 7 Immortal GU. Fang Yuan could tell this immortal GU's rank from the aura it was emitting. It was not rank 8, nor rank 9. Fang Yuan was happy about this. Having a higher rank immortal GU was not always better, this was something that every GU immortal knew. Rank 7 Perseverance Immortal GU best fit Fang Yuan's rank 7 cultivation level. What is the food of this Perseverance Immortal GU? What effect does it have? How can I make use of it? Questions appeared in Fang Yuan's head. He did not think any further, he placed his focus on the outside world again. Outside Reverse Flow River, the 3 rank 8 GU immortals were still waiting to strike, the other GU immortals were also ready to attack any time. By owning Perseverance Immortal GU, I really conquered Reverse Flow River. Fang Yuan soon found that Reverse Flow River was as obedient as a pet dog around him. The immense pressure it gave him earlier had vanished. Fang Yuan stood here without moving, Reverse Flow River no longer worked against him. Not just that, Fang Yuan also found that he could use Gu worms freely in the river, he could even open his immortal aperture's entrance easily. Good. Fang Yuan was excited, he first placed Ma Hongyun's corpse in his immortal aperture. Ma Hongyun's soul was also inside Fang Yuan's immortal aperture. His soul contained the luck path, true inheritance of all living beings' luck. Fang Yuan paid attention to this. During Imperial Court Blessed Land, Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun were protected by the all living beings' luck true inheritance, they had each gained a portion of the inheritance. Right now, Ma Hongyun's soul is in my hands, the portion of all living beings' luck that he has belongs to me. It is a pity Zhao Lianyun had rank 9 love immortal Gu, I could not capture her. In Fang Yuan's opinion, Ma Hongyun's soul had great value, but his body was merely a Gu refinement material, even though it had gone through many living refinement attempts. But Fang Yuan frowned slightly. If he could capture Zhao Lianyun, he might have been able to use her and negotiate with the Gu immortals outside. But earlier, Zhao Lianyun had escaped from danger due to love immortal Gu, she had returned to Bai Chentian and Wei Lingyang. Northern Plains Lu Guanyi, to think that this battle would establish your fame. Wei Lingyang sighed. I want you to die, I want you to die. Zhao Lianyun screamed in a shrill voice, her gaze towards Fang Yuan was filled with hatred and grudge. The love she had for Ma Hongyun became hatred for Fang Yuan. Lu Guanyi, even if you become the reverse flow river lord, so what? Old ancestor Shui who smiled coldly. Lad, you are quite capable. But this is it, you killed Ma Hongyun, you caused me to fail before even trying. Walk out of reverse flow river and let me kill you in one slap, I will let you off without much pain. Howl, Grandpa Mao said with a ruthless expression. Damn it, Fang Yuan gritted his teeth secretly. He was the only person in reverse flow river now, but the situation did not turn around for him. He was trapped inside reverse flow river. Even though he refined perseverance immortal Gu and conquered reverse flow river, he could not gain the initiative and escape with his life. Especially after killing Ma Hongyun and losing Zhao Lianyun, Fang Yuan was in a passive state. 3 rank 8 Gu immortals, many experts, as well as heaven's will, Fang Yuan looked around, he was trapped. Refining perseverance immortal Gu made him the target of everyone now, he had attracted too much attention. Huff, old ancestor Shui who suddenly breathed out, he grunted as he spat out a mouthful of cold air. The cold air soon landed on reverse flow river, the water was still flowing slowly, the surface of the river was flickering with light as the cold air was reflected back at him. Old ancestor Shui who dodged it, staring at the river water as he laughed. Lu Guanyi, you foiled my plans, if you surrender now and hand over reverse flow river, I can spare your life, you can become my slave. But if you insist on resisting us, I will make sure you cannot die even if you want to. Saying this, he spat out more cold air, attacking reverse flow river. Reverse flow river continued to reflect all of the attacks back, but old ancestor Shui who dodged them all, he continued threatening, Lu Guanyi, you can forget about it if you want to use reverse flow river to protect yourself. Reverse flow river is a secluded domain of heaven and earth, it has immense might, but it is not a living being, reflecting attacks consumes its water. Eventually, the river will dry up, by then, you will die. As old ancestor Shui who continued to attack, reverse flow river started being expended, even though only traces of the water were used, eventually, it would run out. But Fang Yuan retorted, old ancestor Shui who, you are the number 1 rank 8 Gu immortal in Northern Plains, how can you not know that Central Continent's Gu immortals were the ones who foiled your Gu refinement plan? Furthermore, longevity heaven's trap might also be involved. I just happen to be here due to a coincidence, are you ignoring these great enemies and targeting an insignificant character like me? As he said this, Bai Chentian and Wei Lingyang became extremely alert, they moved back by a bit. Mao Lichu pouted. This lad is good at sowing discord. Old ancestor Shui who stared slightly in surprise. Lu Guanyi, you seem to be forgetting that the reverse flow river under your feet belonged to me. You stole my secluded domain of heaven and earth, you are an enemy of mine. You caused the death of Ma Hongyun and ruined my hope, if I do not kill you, my anger will not be appeased. Fang Yuan quickly said, old ancestor Shui Hu, we are both Northern Plainsmen. Among everyone present, this ferret is from longevity heaven, while these Central Continent Gu immortals are all from the 10 great ancient sects or heavenly court. They are all righteous path, only we are in the demonic path. Righteous path and demonic path cannot intermingle, we can work together. Yes, I took away reverse flow river and by chance became the reverse flow river lord. But we can cooperate, I can lend reverse flow river to you, with my help, reverse flow river will be much more useful to you now. Yes, I killed Ma Hongyun, but everyone knows that I did not intend to do that. I only held him lightly and Ma Hongyun died. He was completely worn out, he was mentally exhausted, or maybe he suffered too big of a shock and could not endure it. Without me, he was going to die anyway, I was merely implicated. Now that he is dead, fortune rivaling heaven's effect vanished, I can understand that you want to seek revenge with me. But you need to undergo tribulation. Will killing me and venting your anger help you pass the tribulation? Saying this, Fang Yuan shook his head. He continued, not just that, your tribulation might even become more dangerous. Because of how vast Reverse Flow River is, you will exert a lot of effort in draining its water, and yet, you cannot refine fortune rivaling heaven to deal with your tribulation. Old Ancestor Shuihu, you have a family, you are a Grand Overlord, the #1 demonic path overlord in Northern Plains. If you die from tribulation, or even if you are just heavily injured, all of your enemies, and the righteous paths of Northern Plains and Central Continent, will be overjoyed. At the same time, Lady Wan Shou would grieve. Even though Snowy Mountain Blessed Land was destroyed and this refinement failed, as long as you are around, you can build another Snowy Mountain Blessed Land. If the refinement fails, you can snatch resources from others and get enough materials to refine GU again. These righteous path GU immortals have ill intentions, we can take them down. I, Lu Guanyi, am a demonic path member of Northern Plains, I am willing to cooperate with you to achieve our grand ambitions. Fang Yuan spoke with confidence and assurance, he had a glib tongue. Old Ancestor Shui who heard these words and felt that Fang Yuan was not so detestable anymore. Because what he said was right, even though Old Ancestor Shui who was furious, he had not lost his reasoning yet. Furthermore, Fang Yuan was considering him and putting himself in his perspective while making plans. How could Old Ancestor Shui who not be moved? He was a rank 8 GU immortal, even after this major setback, his ambitions had not wavered. He was still going to refine GU later, where would he get the materials? Old Ancestor Shui who subconsciously looked towards Bai Chen Tian and Wei Ling Yang, as well as the dog-tail life-extending ferret. Seeing Old Ancestor Shui who's gaze, Wei Ling Yang and Bai Chen Tian became nervous, while Mao Li Chu felt offended, his hair stood on end as he opened his mouth, revealing his sharp fangs to Old Ancestor Shui who, not showing any weakness. This fellow is still as crafty as ever. Ying Wuxie was frustrated. If this was earlier, he might encourage Old Ancestor Shui who to cooperate with Fang Yuan. After all, Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal body was the fruit of Shadow Sect's efforts after 100,000 years, it could not be lost. But now, after being hunted down by Fang Yuan, and seeing him conquer Reverse Flow River, Ying Wuxia's wariness towards Fang Yuan had reached an extreme level. If there was a chance, Ying Wuxie would definitely kill Fang Yuan, and eliminate this terrifying foe. But Ying Wuxie did not speak. Purple Mountain True Monarch had fallen into deep sleep in his hands. When he awakened, he would regain clarity for some time. Currently, Ying Wuxie had to keep a low profile, it would be best if everyone forgot about him. This was Shadow Sect's weakest moment. The Central Continent GU Immortals were also like this, even though they got back Zhao Li and Yun, they did not dare to retreat easily. If they did, they might attract unwanted attention and become everyone's targets. The situation was in a deadlock. It was quite peculiar. Old Ancestor Shuihu, Shadow Sect, Central Continent's GU Immortals, Longevity Heaven, Fang Yuan, none of them dared to make a move, they had their own considerations and perspective, and most importantly, none of them had overwhelming strength that could suppress the situation. Old Ancestor Shuihu's attitude became the crucial thing now. Everyone stared at him. Old Ancestor Shuihu thought for a moment and suddenly said, "Sure, we can make an alliance." Fang Yuan was overjoyed. Chapter 1287, Myriad Self-Second Style. Seeing that Fang Yuan was about to successfully convince Old Ancestor Shuihu, be it Central Continent or Longevity Heaven, their expressions all changed. Old Ancestor Shuihu was the #1 rank 8 in Northern Plains demonic path, if he fought with his full strength, he could definitely bring Fang Yuan away even against the dog-tail life-extending ferret Mao Li Chu, Bai Chen Tian, and Wei Ling Yang. However, Old Ancestor Shuihu gave Fang Yuan very strict alliance agreement rules. Fang Yuan's joy vanished. According to this alliance agreement, he was not an equal ally of Old Ancestor Shuihu, he was a slave. Old Ancestor Shuihu, such an alliance agreement, are you joking? Fang Yuan's expression was ugly. Old Ancestor Shuihu started to laugh, of course I am not. Lu Guanyi, didn't you analyze this thoroughly earlier? Among the people present, only we are from the demonic path, we are natural allies. You killed Yi Lui Qun Xing, you killed a Lu tribe Gu Immortal and plundered their resources. Are you going to hand yourself into longevity heaven? Or will you leave your homeland and go to Central Continent? And be the lackey of the 10 great ancient sects in heavenly court? I am your only option. Saying this, he paused before looking at Ying Wuxie. You know, I have my own difficulties. I have an agreement with these people, but it seems that you are enemies too. I cannot offend another rank 8 existence just because of a rank 7 Gu Immortal and reverse flow river, right? Ying Wuxie's heart jumped. Old ancestor Shui who was indeed trying to convince Fang Yuan, but he was also probing Shadow Sect's and Purple Mountain True Monarch's background. After all, everyone saw that Purple Mountain True Monarch went crazy. If this Purple Mountain True Monarch was truly crazy and unable to control himself, old ancestor Shui who might attack them. After all, killing a crazy rank 8 Gu Immortal would grant enough benefits that would move old ancestor Shui who. Furthermore, old ancestor Shui who had failed the Gu refinement and Snowy Mountain blessed land was destroyed, all of his investments were wasted. Fang Yuan's expression was grim. Old ancestor Shui who was a demonic path overlord, he was not easy to fool. His words earlier had truly moved old ancestor Shui who. But old ancestor Shui who had his own schemes and plans, he used Fang Yuan's words to deal with him in return. Old ancestor Shui whose words were filled with suspicion and probing. But Fang Yuan knew that he could not cooperate with Mao Lichu or Wei Lingyang. Longevity Heaven was defensive in regard to its descendants. Fang Yuan killed Yi Lui Qun Xing, he offended the Huang Jin tribes, and after killing Ma Hongyun, going to Longevity Heaven was courting death. On the other hand, he could not go to Central Continent. Even though he had methods to defend against Wisdom Path, they could not be relied upon. Normally, he was relying on the isolation of being inside an immortal aperture or the southern border Super Gu formation to defend himself from the deductions of Central Continent's Gu Immortals. If he went to Central Continent, Heavenly Court's Fairy Ziwei would know about it. By then, his identity would be exposed, he would be put on trial. After all, he was listed on the Demon Judgment Board. As for Shadow Sect, because of Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu, it was even more impossible. Thus, among everyone here, old ancestor Shui who was Fang Yuan's only choice. But now, old ancestor Shui who had stated that he could help Fang Yuan, but Fang Yuan had to accept these conditions. If he did, he would be signing a slavery agreement, he would become old ancestor Shui who's slave. If you agree, I will ensure your safety. If you do not, I will attack Reverse Flow River, you will die here today, there is no other option. Old ancestor Shui who was domineering, he stared at Fang Yuan fixedly, forcing him to make a decision. Fang Yuan had a struggling and hesitant expression. Let me think. I will give you 3 breaths of time. Old ancestor Shui who had a cold expression, he breathed out cold air as he gave Fang Yuan 3 breaths of time to consider. It was truly merciless. Fang Yuan smiled. He knew that he could not deceive old ancestor Shui who. There was no way to stall for time. He stopped acting. Then, old ancestor, I will have to see your methods. Ha ha ha. Old ancestor Shui who laughed loudly. He had a ruthless expression. I knew it. How can someone who is qualified to be the Reverse Flow River Lord submit to others so easily? Therefore, I will beat you until you beg for mercy. Old ancestor Shui who was happy to have this prey, he seemed to be unwilling to kill Fang Yuan. But who knew if this was his plot? Old ancestor Shui who attacked, waves of cold air assaulted, unceasingly with grand might. Reverse Flow River's water was raging, reflecting Shui who's attacks, while consuming the river water. Fang Yuan did not move, it was still too early to affect him, even though he was bound to lose, because he could only take attacks passively and could not counterattack. I need to find a way to get out of this predicament and escape with my life. Fang Yuan smiled, looking at Central Continent's group. Guests from Central Continent, what are you waiting for? Do you want Northern Plains Gu Immortals to collaborate and take care of you? Wei Lingyang's and Bai Chen Tian's hearts jumped. Zhao Lianyun cried out shrilly, murderer. You should worry about yourself. I will only leave after I see you die right in front of me. The other Central Continent Gu Immortals were silent, they looked at the 2 rank 8 Gu Immortals. But Wei Lingyang and Bai Chen Tian did not move, they were like statues, not making a response. Fang Yuan was about to speak to the dog-tail life-extending ferret. Mao Lichu suddenly laughed. Little boy, no need to say any more, sowing discord is pointless. I am right here, even if Shui who doesn't want to kill you, I will kill you. Saying this, it attacked. It spat out traces of purple aura, it was like mist that was reflected by Reverse Flow River, intensifying Reverse Flow River's expenditure. Fang Yuan smiled bitterly on the inside, These rank 8 existences, be they human or beast, were astute, words could not cause them to waver. It seems that I can only rely on myself now. The new move that I created is powerful, but in front of 5 rank 8 existences, it will be too difficult to escape. 5 rank 8 existences, they were old ancestor Shui Hu, Mao Li Chu, Bai Chen Tian, Wei Ling Yang, and the crazed Purple Mountain True Monarch. Fang Yuan looked at the water below his feet, he actually went into a daze for a moment. The attacks outside the river were powerful and unceasing, incredible might could be felt. But Fang Yuan had no regard for the surroundings, because in his current state, an inspiration had formed in his mind. Activating an immortal GU, the river water below his feet started to create ripples according to his will. It seems that if I continue activating Perseverance Immortal GU, I will be the Reverse Flow River Lord. Inside this river, I can use other Immortal GU as well. Earlier, he had tried to use Strength Path Immortal GU pulling water. Under the effect of pulling water, Fang Yuan found that he could move Reverse Flow River just like any other river or stream. But with just this, Fang Yuan could not leave the place. Pulling water Immortal GU was just rank 6, it could move rivers and bodies of water, but it moved very slowly, trying to escape with this was impossible. Old ancestor Shui Hu seems to have a way to make use of Reverse Flow River and create a formation, why can't I do the same? I am the Reverse Flow River Lord, I have Perseverance Immortal GU, I can freely manipulate this river. Or maybe, I can form an immortal killer move. This idea appeared in Fang Yuan's mind and began to take root deeply. Perseverance Immortal GU allowed Fang Yuan to get Reverse Flow River's compliance, and pulling water Immortal GU could manipulate rivers and water. This was the basis of an immortal killer move. Adding more GU worms to form a complete immortal killer move, it seemed that it was nothing too hard. Fang Yuan felt that he could do it. This was not a random guess. It was his attainment level. Fang Yuan had incredible attainment levels, one of them was Water Path. He had just become a Water Path Grandmaster. After adding more Water Path GU worms in, he quickly compiled this immortal killer move. But it was not enough. Not enough strength, Fang Yuan realized. The framework, the skeleton of the killer move was created, the wings were spread, but he lacked the crucial muscles for strength. Just 2 immortal GU were not enough. Then he would add more. Fang Yuan first thought of Strength Path. Myriad Self, his most familiar technique, and also a unique immortal killer move that he had created after rebirth. A solution was found. Strength Path Grandmaster Attainment Level and Water Path Grandmaster Attainment Level, they allowed him to naturally reach success. But wait, Fang Yuan suddenly thought of an unrelated immortal killer move. This killer move came from Yi Lui Qunxing. He used star fragments to create a powerful killer move. It was like Fang Yuan trying to use Reverse Flow River, they were using external forces. And now, he even had the blood vessels. Skeleton, muscles, wings, and blood vessels, he had them all. Fang Yuan actually created an immortal killer move in this short period of time. This is Myriad Self Second Style. Fang Yuan's eyes were shining brilliantly. Chapter 1288. Practicing the Killer Move. With sufficient attainment level, Fang Yuan created an immortal killer move on the spot. Because he used Myriad Self Killer Move as the foundation, Fang Yuan named this move Myriad Self Second Style. But because this move was just created, it was far from being usable. Bam bam bam, old ancestor Shui Hu and the dog-tail life extending ferret Mao Li Chu, these 2 rank 8 existences continued to attack Reverse Flow River, causing huge ripples in the water. Countless attacks were reflected as the water level started to fall. Fang Yuan's actions had gone past their bottom line. And because he was unwilling to give up, old ancestor Shui Hu and Mao Li Chu were expending their energy to attack Reverse Flow River, in order to kill Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan looked at the river water, thinking, at this rate, I still have a lot of time. His heart eased slightly. Reverse Flow River was a secluded domain of heaven and earth indeed, it endured the attacks of 2 rank 8 existences, only falling a little in water level. Of course, a reason was that Shui Hu and Mao Li Chu did not use their full strength. They were wary of each other, and Wei Ling Yang and Bai Chen Tian were together with the other Central Continent GU Immortals, awaiting their chance. These people restrained each other, they guarded against each other, how could they use their full strength on Fang Yuan? Because of this complex situation, a lot of pressure was lifted off Fang Yuan, he could test his killer move without rushing. The first activation, Fang Yuan was careful. First was Perseverance Immortal GU, it had been expending Red Date Immortal Essence to allow Fang Yuan to move freely in Reverse Flow River, remaining unrestricted by the secluded domain of heaven and earth. Next were a large number of Water Path Mortal GU, they flew up in Fang Yuan's immortal aperture, surrounding the huge Perseverance Immortal GU as they moved in the air. Soon, large amounts of water vapor rose, as faint blue light appeared in them. But soon, this blue light vanished, some of it had even turned red, the originally ice-cold water vapor had turned warmer. I failed. Fang Yuan immediately stopped. The scene in front of him was out of his expectations. This was not what he wanted. He stopped his immortal essence expenditure, crack crack, large numbers of water path mortal GU exploded, destroyed on the spot. Fang Yuan calmed down and started to think. According to his planning, there should be blue light shining as the water vapor became colder, why was there red light and warmer temperature? Fang Yuan deduced in his mind, soon, because of his wisdom path attainment level, he found the source of the problem. It was because he had used two conflicting water path mortal GU. Fang Yuan immediately changed one of them. In reverse flow river, he could open his immortal aperture and connect to treasure yellow heaven to purchase water path mortal GU easily. After modifying the entire immortal killer move, Fang Yuan tried to activate it again for the second time. Perseverance Immortal GU was still in use. The surrounding water path mortal GU started to rise and fly around it. First was water vapor and blue light. He soon passed this stage as Fang Yuan used Immortal GU pulling water. Rank 6 Strength Path Immortal GU pulling water. This was the second core of the Immortal Killer move. The first core was undeniably Rank 7 Perseverance Immortal GU. Fang Yuan was careful. While activating Perseverance Immortal GU, he activated pulling water. It was a very risky thing. If he could not manage it well, these two Immortal GU might interfere and cause harm to each other, they might even get destroyed. Testing Immortal Killer moves was not just risky to the GU Immortal, the Immortal GU and Mortal GU involved were also in danger. And because Immortal GU themselves were fragments of the Great Tao, when they suffered a backlash, the damage was much more severe. Fang Yuan was very vigilant, he was quickly rewarded for it. He met with difficulty. Although pulling water Immortal GU was activated and its mystical power was used, it could not integrate into the framework of the move. What is the problem? Fang Yuan stopped. A lot of water path mortal GU were destroyed. Experimenting with Immortal Killer moves had a price. A complete and effective Immortal Killer move needed conceptualization and experimentation. The GU Immortal needed to put in a lot of effort and resources. As the attacks in the outside world continued, Fang Yuan ignored them. He had the sovereign immortal body, his thoughts were produced rapidly as they moved around and collided. With his Wisdom Path Grandmaster attainment level, Wisdom Path Tao marks, as well as Wisdom Path methods, his deductions were progressing rapidly. It was faster this time. In just a few breaths of time, Fang Yuan found the problem. The powers of Perseverance Immortal GU and Pulling Water Immortal GU could not fuse together. It was because the quantity and types of Water Path Mortal GU were not appropriate. These Mortal GU were the bridge between the two Immortal GU, they had the effect of linking them. Fang Yuan thought about it. He reduced a portion of some Water Path Mortal GU and while increasing others, at the same time, he added a new Water Path Mortal GU. The third activation. This time, it was smooth sailing, he successfully fused Pulling Water Immortal GU into the killer move. The moment he succeeded, there were waves forming in the reverse flow river water below him. It was finally starting to work. But he was still far from reaching his goal. Fang Yuan did not rest, he could not waste time in this situation, he continued experimenting, activating the Immortal Killer move, his aura strengthened and weakened at times, flickering continuously. What is Lu Guanyi doing? GU worm auras are appearing on his body from time to time, it looks like he is experimenting with an Immortal Killer move. Other than old ancestor Shui Hu and Mao Li Chu, the other GU immortals were just watching. Every time Fang Yuan experimented with his Immortal Killer move, the GU worm auras would leak, it could not be concealed from the GU immortals. If he wanted to conceal the auras, he needed a special Immortal Killer move. These types of Immortal Killer moves were very rare, like Fang Yuan's Dark Assassination, it was among these Immortal Killer moves. Fang Yuan reached his limits in conceptualized myriad self-second style, he could not consider adding aura concealment to it. But it did not matter. GU worm auras alone could not determine the types of GU worms. Furthermore, he had just created myriad self-second style, it was complex and used many different GU, it was not possible for them to find out its flaws by watching. Fourth time, fifth time. Fang Yuan continued to activate the Immortal Killer move, sometimes he made great progress, while sometimes, because of some adjustments, he backtracked by several steps. Fang Yuan was not dejected, he persevered on without any expression. He is really testing an Immortal Killer move. He, is this Lu Guanyi an idiot? Creating an immortal killer move on the spot, does he think he is an immortal venerable or demon venerable? Even if he creates an immortal killer move, I want to see if he can use it to deal with all of us. The GU immortals watching all commented on Fang Yuan's naivety and mocked him in disdain. If immortal killer moves were so easy to create, would they still be immortal killer moves? But soon, some of their expressions changed. They found that some mystical changes were occurring in Reverse Flow River. 21st try. Fang Yuan stretched out his arm, grabbing towards that river below his feet. Rise. At the same time, he muttered lightly. Bam. A soft sound occurred as a huge ball appeared on the river surface near him. This ball was completely made of Reverse Flow River's water. After rising, it burst as water splattered everywhere. The killer move activation failed. Fang Yuan's nose was bleeding as 2 streams of blood flowed down. His immortal killer move has effect on Reverse Flow River. Yu Yizi saw this and his eyes shined with sharp light. No, more accurately speaking, he is using Reverse Flow River to create an immortal killer move. Bu Gen Z said. HMPH, laughable. Black Extremity smiled coldly. Back then, I used Reverse Flow River to create the sub and main fate reversing refinement formation. It used up several years of my time. Lu Guanyi, even if you are the Reverse Flow River Lord, you are simply too arrogant. You think you can create an immortal killer move using it in such a short amount of time. Evidently, none of the GU immortals here thought highly of Fang Yuan's chances. But soon, Fang Yuan started his testing again. Pew. This time, a small mound appeared on the river surface near him. The mound quickly collapsed as the water doused Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan's expression turned pale, his body wavered. Not only did he have a nosebleed, even his ears were bleeding. I failed again, man, as before. At the next moment, he was completely healed. I should find the reason for the failure. It seems that a small problem occurred at the final juncture. Fang Yuan fell into deep contemplation. Chapter 1289, Reverse Flow Protection Seal. A moment later, Fang Yuan opened his eyes, activating the killer move again. This time, a segment of Reverse Flow River's water was moved by him, causing huge waves. The immortals' expressions changed. Even old ancestor Shuihu's attack stopped. But at the next moment, old ancestor Shuihu shouted loudly and erupted with even stronger attacks. This is so hard. Because I added in many GU worms of different types, many problems occurred. But this is already my current limit. To create a concise version, I will need years to deduce, or an increase in my attainment level once again. Fang Yuan knew that this myriad self-second style had too many GU worms involved. It was too complex and had many issues to deal with. While Fang Yuan was sighing at the difficult progress, the other GU immortals were filled with shock. Even though they did not speak, their gazes were flickering. Lu Guanyi, this fellow. Such fast progress. He could really mobilize Reverse Flow River. Unbelievable. Is he really human? He could achieve such progress in this short period of time. No, there is no way he can succeed. How can he really create an immortal killer move in such a short amount of time? Undeniably, Fang Yuan's rapid advancement had broken the common sense of these immortals. They had never seen a person create an immortal killer move in such a short period of time and gain such rapid improvements through experimentation. But right now, they were seeing it live. Fang Yuan continued. Old ancestor Shuihu and the dog-tail life-extending ferret, Mao Li Chu, subconsciously increased their attacking power. But Reverse Flow River was too huge. Even after their endless attacks, they consumed less than 5% of the entire river. Once more, rise. Fang Yuan had a serious expression. He grabbed at the air towards the river below him as he called out. This time, the entirety of Reverse Flow River was affected. It was like a long dragon awakening from its slumber. It started to stretch its entire body freely. How could this happen? Someone cried out subconsciously. The entirety of Reverse Flow River started to fly in the sky like a rising dragon, ready to soar and roam the 5 regions and 9 heavens. Wishful thinking. Old ancestor Shuihu shouted, slamming with his palms as an icy light shot out towards Reverse Flow River. Reverse Flow River was hit and reflected it. The icy light seemed to have collided into a mirror. It was sent right back at him. In the blink of an eye, all of the vast surrounding grassland turned into an icy plain. Frost energy permeated, the sky was snowing, the temperature was falling. Strong winds blew intensely, the entire world seemed to have changed colors. This was the power of a rank 8. Fang Yuan could not help but feel shocked. He was temporarily safe in Reverse Flow River, and the other GU immortals were protected by their rank 8 existences. Ying Wuxie was covered in cold sweat. Purple Mountain True Monarch had awakened again at the crucial moment. If not for him, Ying Wuxie and the rest would not have survived. "We will leave," Purple Mountain True Monarch said. But this, Ying Wuxie hesitated, but Purple Mountain True Monarch waved his hand and several rings of light appeared, capturing Ying Wuxie and gang, sending them towards the sky. To think that Shadow Sect was the first to retreat. Purple Mountain True Monarch left rapidly without saying a word. The GU Immortals present were stunned. "Lord, that is the Sovereign Immortal Aperture." Ying Wuxie was anxious, he transmitted to Purple Mountain True Monarch. "Don't worry, I have already deduced that he won't die. He can definitely escape," Purple Mountain True Monarch said confidently. Ying Wuxie was not very convinced of Purple Mountain True Monarch's words, but he could not express his doubts. But at the next moment, he saw that all of Reverse Flow River started to glow in a bright blue light. Blue light flickered like rumbling clouds or raging currents. The immortals' gazes were all attracted to it. Fang Yuan stood in the middle, great winds were blowing, causing his hair and sleeves to flutter in the sky. His eyes were eerie, he said softly, "Rise." Instantly, the river water surged and the immortals could hear the sounds of the waves. It resembled the roaring of 1,000 men, the scene was domineering and grand. Immediately after, the blue light condensed, Reverse Flow River shrank, it became a tiny dot in an instant. The huge Reverse Flow River vanished, it condensed towards Fang Yuan and turned into a light blue-colored robe. This long robe had wide sleeves, it was white like snow. On the surface of the robe, there was slow-flowing water, it was the same appearance as Reverse Flow River earlier. Not just that, the surface of the white robe had faint mist surrounding it. There was also a strip of light that was deep azure, it was curvy and wavy, resembling a long sash, it coiled around Fang Yuan's arms, the back of his neck, and around his waist again. Immortal Killer Move, Myriad Self Second Style, Reverse Flow Protection Seal, had been successfully activated at this moment. He succeeded. Impossible. He actually used Reverse Flow River to create a new Immortal Killer Move in this short time. The immortals saw this and became tongue-tied. Old Ancestor Shui, who was staring fiercely, "I refuse to believe this." He thrusted with his palms in Fang Yuan's direction. Immediately, an icy light shot out at incredible speed towards Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan was prepared to face it. The icy light landed on his body, but it was fully blocked by Reverse Flow Protection Seal. Reverse Flow Protection Seal flickered as the terrifying icy light was reflected back at its creator, Old Ancestor Shui. Success. Fang Yuan's heart was jumping, it gradually calmed down. Even though the Immortal Killer Move was activated successfully, he needed to test it. Old Ancestor Shui's attack confirmed that Fang Yuan's Reverse Flow Protection Seal was incredibly powerful. Old Ancestor Shui dodged the icy light, his expression turned ruthless and harsh as he looked at Fang Yuan. "Let me try," Mao Lichu shouted. Its body vanished on the spot, at the next moment, it appeared behind Fang Yuan. Its ruthless claws were raised and they landed harshly. Boom! A loud sound could be heard, Fang Yuan flew out like a cannonball that was shot out. His field of vision changed, Fang Yuan had landed on the ground a breath of time later. Next, with a loud explosion, a huge crater was formed on the icy ground. Under everyone's watchful gazes, Fang Yuan slowly stood up in the deep crater, he was expressionless and his body was intact, there was not even a graze on his skin. Reverse Flow Protection Seal had turned into a snow-white robe with an azure sash, there were almost no changes to it, but the mist on the surface of the robe had dissipated to a large extent. If one observed closely, the snow-white robe seemed to be covered in a layer of dust, it was no longer as bright as before. Mao Lichu looked at Fang Yuan before turning to look at its claws. Its right paw was covered in blood, its flesh was exposed now. Fang Yuan suffered no injuries, while Mao Lichu was quite severely injured. Gasp! Sounds could be heard coming from the GU Immortals present. What Immortal Killer Move is this? Even Mao Lichu suffered a loss. Seeing this, even Bai Chen Tian's eyes were twitching rapidly. He actually did it. Black Extremity was speechless, his expression was of utter shock. Even an immemorial desolate beast's physical attack was reflected back. Old Ancestor Shui frowned deeply. How can this be? Ying Wuxie, who was far away in the sky, saw this and felt like he was dreaming. There had never been a case where a rank 8 GU Immortal attacked a rank 7 GU Immortal and resulted in the rank 7 GU Immortal being unharmed, while the rank 8 GU Immortal was actually injured. Rank 8 and rank 7, the former always suppressed the latter. In the last few thousand years, Feng Zhuzhe was the sole monster who had overwhelming talent, he was unparalleled and could battle rank 8 existences. But now, after Fang Yuan created myriad self-second style, and successfully used it, Feng Juzhe no longer held this title alone. From now on, this supreme glory was shared with another person. Lu Guanyi, Central's Feng Juzhe, North's Lu Guanyi, Bu Zhenzi muttered in a daze. Old ancestor Shui Hu smiled lightly. Lad, I underestimated you after all. His arms were behind his back, he stopped attacking. But Mao Li Chu was furious. Little lad, you are courting death, you dared to make me lose face. The immemorial desolate beast attacked Fang Yuan furiously. Fang Yuan was not its match, he was slammed away like a rubber ball. But after dozens of blows, Fang Yuan was unharmed, he still had a pristine air, but Mao Li Chu was panting roughly, bleeding profusely. Every one of its attacks was reflected back at itself. Mao Li Chu was staring furiously, thinking, this lad is a porcupine, I'm hurting myself, since when did Northern Plains have such a monster? Fang Yuan saw that Mao Li Chu was at a loss against him and laughed, charging at the Central Continent GU Immortals. Central Continent's GU Immortals were like frightened birds, they dispersed at once. The two Central Continent rank 8 stayed and attacked Fang Yuan. But it was no use. Reverse flow protection seal was reflecting their attacks back at them, they landed on Mao Li Chu, who was chasing after him. Mao Li Chu was suffering greatly, so angry it was about to blow up, it spat out a vast amount of purple light, its attack engulfed an enormous surrounding range. This attack caused a huge battle. The situation became chaotic, the GU Immortals of all three sides were attacking. This was the last thing Ying Wuxie saw. He was in deep admiration towards Purple Mountain True Monarch's decision of retreating. At the same time, he understood. After this battle, Lu Guanyi's name would spread throughout the 5 regions, it would shock the world, his reputation would rival Feng Juzhe. More than 10 days later, a figure in a sorry state passed the regional wall, arriving at Eastern Sea. It was Fang Yuan. I finally got free from that crazy animal. Fang Yuan sighed deeply. More than 10 days ago, old ancestor Shui Hu, Central Continent's GU Immortals, and Longevity Heaven engaged in fierce combat, they fought with all they had. Fang Yuan managed to escape from this chaotic battle, but Mao Li Chu refused to stop chasing him. Fang Yuan was not Mao Li Chu's match, but after he entered Northern Plains regional wall, Mao Li Chu could only watch helplessly. It was a wild beast born in Northern Plains, it was restricted by the regional wall. Fang Yuan managed to escape from these pursuers. Time to go back to southern border. Fang Yuan did not stay, he flew into the clouds. Chapter 1290, Truce between Shadow Sect and Fang Yuan. On the dark stone wall, eerie flames were burning. The flames were not big, they were like fireflies or lanterns in size. They were green flames that were cold and icy, the pale flames reflected on the faces of Purple Mountain True Monarch, Ying Wuxie, Bai Ningbing, and He Lulan. Being the first to leave the Reverse Flow River battle, they were brought here by Purple Mountain True Monarch. But after that, Purple Mountain True Monarch returned to a state of insanity. Looking at Purple Mountain True Monarch, who was nibbling on his toes, Bai Ningbing sneered at Ying Wuxie, this is your plan. This is the rank 8 great expert who will kill Fang Yuan. In this trip to Snowy Mountain Blessed Land, even though Ying Wuxie saved Purple Mountain True Monarch, he lost a lot, Shi Nu and Tai Bai Yunsheng died in battle. He Lulan was silent. This rank 8 GU Immortal was unreliable. But due to Shadow Sect's alliance agreement, He Lulan kept quiet. Ying Wuxie was mocked by Bai Ningbing, but his expression remained the same. After so many setbacks, he had gained a disposition of being calm no matter the situation. He slowly spoke. I underestimated Fang Yuan, to think that he would refine perseverance Immortal GU and become the Reverse Flow River Lord. No wonder heavens will choose him as a tool. This person can only be killed, he cannot be defeated. Ying Wuxie praised Fang Yuan without hesitation. Even though they were enemies, Ying Wuxie had an open mind, he admitted that Fang Yuan had both the advantage and superior strength. Bai Ningbing snorted coldly, thinking about the scene where Fang Yuan conquered Reverse Flow River, she no longer said anything. In the tiny cave, only Purple Mountain True Monarch's screaming echoed throughout the place. A moment later, Purple Mountain True Monarch stopped shouting, his tiny body shook before he stood up calmly. He straightened his back, clarity returning to his eyes. Lord, you are awake. Ying Wuxie was overjoyed, he quickly got closer. Purple Mountain True Monarch held his forehead, feeling pain in his head, his expression was distorting from the pain. Earlier in Reverse Flow River, I forced myself to awaken, thus it was only for a moment. But now is different, I have quite some time left. How long has it been? How did the battle end? It has already been half a month. Fang Yuan escaped northern plains through the regional wall, I assume he entered Eastern Sea. After all, he has some foundation in Eastern Sea. As for the battle, the result has yet to be determined. Central Continent's GU Immortals wanted to leave, but old ancestor Shui who pursued them. During the dangerous situation, an immortal GU house descended from the sky, as both parties went to fight in White Heaven. Ying Wuxie answered. Purple Mountain True Monarch nodded. This time, Central Continent's GU Immortals will likely lose. In the past, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable chose Northern Plains as his domain, how could he not make arrangements here? For example, none of Longevity Heaven's rank 8 GU Immortals have shown up yet. Lord, what do we do from now on? Ying Wuxie asked. He was once in charge of Shadow Sect. Now that Purple Mountain True Monarch woke up, this rank 8 great expert was naturally going to lead Shadow Sect. Ying Wuxie had to step down. Purple Mountain True Monarch was about to speak when the sound of winds echoed in this cave. Next, the eerie fire on the cave walls started flickering intensely, as if a strong wind was blowing. Purple Mountain True Monarch's gaze flickered. I arranged this cave as one of our escape methods. These eerie fires were nurtured by me to create a natural GU formation. It allows us to defend against deductions from others. When I was insane, how many times did they flicker? 107 times. Bai Ningbing said plainly. I am afraid Fang Yuan's deductions are included in this. His investigative killer move can use the profundities of Luck Path and find our locations. Even inside an immortal aperture, we cannot hide from him. Ying Wuxie said grimly. Purple Mountain True Monarch nodded. Fang Yuan is indeed worthy of being the person nurtured by heaven's will, as the crucial key to deal with our shadow sect. This person is very daring and has incredible talent, his willpower is unparalleled, he is truly an absolute genius seen once in 10,000 years. Purple of Shadow Sect actually gave Fang Yuan such a high evaluation. But the 3 GU Immortals present were silent, they agreed with Purple Mountain True Monarch's words. Purple Mountain True Monarch continued. And now, our plan is to reach a truce with Fang Yuan. These were shocking words. What, a truce? Ying Wuxie and the rest were shocked. Is that very strange? Purple Mountain True Monarch looked at the 3. He was very clear of the current situation. When he woke up, Ying Wuxie had used information path methods to inform Purple Mountain True Monarch of everything he knew. You are all too young, you know too little. Our biggest enemy now is not Fang Yuan but Heavenly Court. Purple Mountain True Monarch shook his head, looking at Ying Wuxie. Do you think rescuing our main body's soul is easy? Other than the Super GU formation in southern border, and the giant dream realm, I can assure you that when we strike, Heavenly Court will interfere. Like on Yitian Mountain, they used Heaven Overseeing Tower and attempted to thwart our plan. Or like this time, when they went to Snowy Mountain Blessed Land to save Ma Hongyun. Ying Wuxie's expression was grim. Lord, I considered that before, but our main body is in great danger, he is trapped by the dream realm and is being consumed by it, that's why I was so anxious. That is exactly why we need to cooperate with Fang Yuan. Purple Mountain True Monarch added. Firstly, Fang Yuan's strength is already extraordinary, that immortal killer move alone can stand up to rank 8 GU Immortals. Secondly, Fang Yuan is a complete otherworldly demon, he is listed on the Demon Judgment Board, and is a common enemy of Heavenly Court. Finally, cooperating is a win-win situation for us. Our Shadow Sect has huge amounts of cultivation resources, while he has the killer move to unravel dreams, he can help us conquer the giant dream realm and save our main body's soul. Ying Wuxie frowned deeply, he cast aside his personal emotions and tried to consider the possibility of this. But soon, he expressed his worries. Fang Yuan is scheming and vicious, he thinks of us as huge threats, he wants to eliminate us all. Now that he is the Reverse Flow River Lord, he is already able to contest with rank 8 existences. We desperately need methods to unravel dreams, while he needs cultivation resources less urgently. It is hard for us to cooperate. Purple Mountain True Monarch nodded. You are completely right, but do you know about the biggest flaw of the sovereign immortal body? What do you mean? You mean the non-conflicting Tao marks of the sovereign immortal body? Ying Wuxie asked in confusion. Of course not. Non-conflicting Tao marks are the sovereign immortal body's biggest advantage, far surpassing the weaknesses that they bring. What I mean is that hidden problem. Purple Mountain True Monarch shook his head. There is an important hidden problem. Ying Wuxie was shocked. Our original plan was to refine a rank 10 Sovereign Immortal Fetus GU. Only rank 10 Sovereign Immortal Fetus GU can be considered perfect without any flaws. But evidently, we only refined a rank 9 version. That huge drawback has not shown itself yet, but it will force Fang Yuan to cooperate with us regardless. Purple Mountain True Monarch said. The sovereign immortal body had a major flaw. As for what flaw it was that made Purple Mountain True Monarch so certain that it would restrict Fang Yuan. Ying Wuxie and the rest were curious, but Purple Mountain True Monarch did not answer it. At the same time, Purple Mountain True Monarch had his own questions and suspicions. Strange. From Ying Wuxie's information, our sect refined sovereign immortal fetus Gu very hurriedly. It is not like our original plan. What is the reason that made our main body act so urgently? It seems that alongside getting in contact with Fang Yuan, I need to make a trip to the River of Time. Eastern Sea. Above the Blue Sea, Fang Yuan rapidly moved through the white clouds. His target was southern border. Happening again. While flying, Fang Yuan's expression changed. He could sense that the power of dark limit on him was rapidly consumed. This consumption was so fast that it was going to be used up soon. Evidently, a great expert was deducing matters about him. When he saw that no one was around, Fang Yuan quickly placed his immortal aperture. After entering the immortal aperture, isolating him from the outside world, and preventing the deduction of the other party, Fang Yuan's danger of getting exposed was alleviated. Fang Yuan sighed. After the Battle of Reverse Flow River, he was met with countless deductions. Lu Guanyi's identity became extremely famous. Not just northern plains and central continent, even eastern sea, southern border, and western desert GU immortals were very curious about Lu Guanyi. They wanted to deduce more information about him. Lu Guanyi was a fake identity, but he was still Fang Yuan. This way, Fang Yuan endured all of the pressure. Even with Dark Limit Immortal GU, he had to constantly stop and hide inside his immortal aperture. Along the way, Fang Yuan met with about 400 to 500 deductions. This greatly interfered with his traveling. He had to constantly stop, and resulted in him still being in Eastern Sea now. With his usual speed, he would be in southern border already. If not for Dark Limit Immortal GU, the situation would be worse. However, it is to be expected that I created such a huge commotion. After all, people are putting me in the same class as Feng Zhuzhe. When I destroyed 88 Truyong building an imperial court blessed land, I had Shadow Sect's help and felt no pressure, but now I do. It seems that getting an immortal killer move to deal with these deductions is necessary. Fang Yuan was a wisdom path grandmaster. Deducing an immortal killer move was not impossible. But it would not be as easy as creating reverse flow protection seal. After all, when deducing reverse flow protection seal, there were many elements involved other than his water path attainment level. Most importantly, he had the appropriate immortal GU along with a strong foundation, thus he met with no problems. But currently, the immortal GU that suited this was Dark Limit. It was not Wisdom Path but Dark Path instead. Fang Yuan's Dark Path attainment level was not outstanding. Chapter 1291, Huge Assets. While evading deductions, Fang Yuan did not waste time. He inspected his immortal aperture. 5 regions, 9 heavens. The sizes were incredible, beyond this world's common sense. 335,000 square kilometers of space was already shockingly huge. Nobody would believe it if they heard of it. But now, Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture had exceeded 335,000 square kilometers of space already. This was because he had been slaughtering GU immortals and annexing their immortal apertures recently. Because of the sovereign immortal body's special characteristics, Fang Yuan could completely annex other people's blessed lands and absorb all their Dao marks without any wastage. These immortal apertures added up to create many unique areas in the sovereign immortal aperture. These areas were mainly managed by land spirits. Fang Yuan could save a lot of effort. They were like tiny pearls scattered all over the 5 regions and 9 heavens. I have incredible amounts of space path resources. Normal GU immortals try by all means possible to expand their immortal apertures, but I have so much space that I have yet to develop. Fang Yuan was satisfied with this. On the other hand, regarding the time path resources, he had a different feeling. The sovereign immortal aperture's rate of time had slowed a lot. It was 1 to 60 earlier. This was simply unmatched. But now, it was below normal standards. This was something he had no other way to deal with. Before Fang Yuan changed his cultivation method, in order to stall calamities and tribulations, he had to do this. He used the time path methods in He Fan's true inheritance to slow the time in his immortal aperture. With fewer time path resources now, Fang Yuan's immortal essence production fell greatly. Not just that, all of his gains in his other resources also fell. Thinking over it in detail. Inside Mini Central Continent, there was the Blood G Forest, and Mirror Willows. They were from Hu Immortal Blessed Land. Other than these, there was a small Jade Light Pit. This small Jade Light Pit had Light Path Mortal GU in it. The quantity was large. This was created in his immortal aperture after Fang Yuan took reference from the Jade Light Pit resource point of Northern Plains Lu tribe. Not long ago, Fang Yuan ransacked the Jade Light Pit and took away all of the Light Path mortal GU in it. A portion of the Light Path GU worms were placed into the Aurora Lights in the 9 heavens, but the rest could not be sold easily. Fang Yuan thus created a small Jade Light Pit to temporarily store these Light Path mortal GU. Of course, this small Jade Light Pit could not compare with the genuine article. The latter was a true resource point. It had a lot of Light Path Dao marks and any insect group placed in it would become GU over time. But the former was only created by Fang Yuan haphazardly to store his Light Path GU worms. It had no production capabilities. Mini Central Continent had the least development among the 5 mini regions. Mini Northern Plains was at a higher level. Mini Northern Plains had flat terrain that was mostly covered in snow and ice, becoming an icy plain. But snow and ice were not its only features. Closer to Eastern Sea, there was a shallow green beach. Pieces of rocks were piled together to form a special lake. The aquatic plants inside were growing well, as spirit snakes lived in it. This shallow beach was the blessed land of Transformation Path GU Immortal Handong. After Fang Yuan annexed it, even the pinkish-red spirit snake land spirit was moved over and managed the area for him. Nearer to Western Desert, there was a bone burial field. There was a mountain of skeletons here of all types, collarbones, skulls, leg bones, even those from flying animals. There were lots of immortal materials that were very valuable. This bone burial field was the bone burial field that Fang Yuan took from Lu tribe. After killing Lu tribe GU Immortal Lu Yong, he moved this bone burial field directly into his immortal aperture. Thus, he had this resource point that could generate bone path GU worms. But compared to the original bone burial field, my bone burial field may have a lot of bones, but the bone path Dao marks cannot match the original. In the original bone burial field, even the surrounding soil had bone path Dao marks. Lu tribe can rebuild their bone burial field with no problems. Fang Yuan knew this deeply. Of course, Fang Yuan had already taken 80% of this bone burial field. The most valuable thing were these bones. The remaining 20% was the soil terrain. Lu tribe could rebuild their bone burial field, but to regain its former scale, they would need to expend a lot of resources. And closer to Central Continent. This was a sparse grassland with all sorts of wildflowers and grass. There were mainly blood sickle grass and red axe flowers. These were from Hu Immortal Blessed Land too. This grassland was huge, surpassing Handong Blessed Land. There were some pink flower rabbits, fox groups, water wolf groups, earth skin boar groups, poison beard wolf groups, and others. There was even a shark fin wolf and a desolate beast giant horned sheep. They were living in this grassland. Mini Western Desert had the highest temperature. Because most of the fire path Dao marks were gathered here, the soil was sandy. There were 3 main resource points here. The first were the eerie fire dragon python dens. There were a lot of them in a particular area. The second was the sand gull soil beach. It produced sand gull soil. Sand gull soil was a GU material. It was also the food of Connect Luck Immortal GU. But Fang Yuan did not have Connect Luck Immortal GU anymore. Sand gull soil was now a resource sold to help Fang Yuan earn Immortal Essence stones. At the center of the sand gull soil, there was the dead egg of the worldly sand gull. It was filled with cracks. There were several small holes on it, as transparent egg white flowed out of the cracks slowly. Using the life essence in this egg, one could turn ordinary sand into sand gull soil. The third was the rotten black swamp. This was formed when Fang Yuan went through tribulation. It was filled with dark path Dao marks. Fang Yuan had already modified it to become a dark path GU worm resource point now, but because it had just been made, its production was low. Other than these 3 resource points, there were 2 blessed lands. One was an earth path blessed land resembling a rotting swamp. There were 5 desolate beast mud monsters inside, and all sorts of earth path mortal GU. It was managed by the small mudman land spirit. The other was Lu Yong's enslavement path blessed land. There were more than 20 dog desolate beasts in it. These desolate beasts were all purchased in Treasure Yellow Heaven by Fang Yuan. This was because Lu Yong blessed land's ownership requirement was to have 20 hound-type desolate beasts. Among those were his 6 bone armor hounds. The entire blessed land was managed by a black hound land spirit. Mini Eastern Sea's development was about the same as Mini Western Desert. Wu Yihai's blessed land was here. This was a sea that was well managed by Wu Yihai. There were 3 ancient desolate beast-horned divine tortoises, a huge field of ancient desolate plant silent corals, and 6 desolate beast white letter blue feather seagulls, managed by the sea turtle land spirit. Other than that, there was the original dragonfish group and 2 desolate beast dragonfish, air bubblefish group, as well as some rare literature carps and some oil water. There were large numbers of blue jade carps, blood jade carps, and an ancient desolate beast hidden room oyster obtained in the turbulent flow sea area. There was another blood lake. It had a large amount of desolate beast blood and Gu immortal blood. Fang Yuan had once placed blood acid immortal Gu here to recover. Right now, blood acid immortal Gu had fully recovered, but this blood lake remained. In the 5 mini regions, mini southern border was the richest. 5 Light Mountain, Immortal Succession Mountain, Heaven Sealing Mountain and others, for a total of more than 10 mountains here. Stalactite Cave, Regretful Spider Group, a small number of rockmen, a huge forest with musical trees, tea streams, and chi death birds singing. There was a Become Dragon Mound. Fang Yuan had used Culling Mountain Immortal Gu to move it into his immortal aperture from northern plains. And in the 9 heavens, a small field of aurora lights were in mini orange heaven. There were a lot of floating flowing light fruits in the aurora lights, and because he had obtained a lot of light path Gu worms from the jade light pit, the scale of the aurora lights and flowing light fruits expanded greatly on its original foundation. And in mini yellow heaven, there was a small gold fragment current. In mini azure heaven, there was a lot of pill azure incense. This was the food of change soul immortal Gu. There was a heavenly crystal storage pool. It came from Heifan Grotto heaven and had no use for now. Mini black heaven had the walking meat tree. Mini white heaven had multicolored overlord flowers, 3 ancient remnant heavenly dogs, 1 ancient eagle hound, and 7 desolate beast eagle hounds. Mini purple heaven had the upper extreme heavenly eagle, although it had only desolate beast strength. More than 80 eagle nests were floating here. These were the loot from attacking Iron Eagle blessed land. The original eagle nest had already been fully eaten by the upper extreme heavenly eagle. In mini blue heaven, there was a lot of cloud soil. On top of them were the arrow bamboo forest, a star fragment grass field, and an infant falling star hound. The 2 desolate beast spine fin star dragonfish had already been sold, during the battle to defend Heifan Grotto heaven. There was also a meteorite pit that produced stellar fire Gu and falling meteor Gu. After killing Yi Lui Qunxing and obtaining his blessed land, Fang Yuan also placed it here. It was a floating island filled with star fragments. The star core land spirit was managing it. There were also some blessed lands scattered around, and some other desolate beasts and desolate plants. There was no need to discuss them in detail. As for Danghun Mountain and Luopo Valley, they were in Langya blessed land. Reverse Flow River was temporarily placed in Mini Eastern Sea by Fang Yuan. As for Gu worms, Rank 9 Wisdom Gu was in Langya blessed land. Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu had already been used, it would not be counted. Rank 8 Immortal Gu, Attitude, Wisdom Sword, Years Flow Like Water, sealed. Rank 7 Immortal Gu, Sword Eyebrows, Wave Sword, Flying Sword, Sword Escape, Calamity Beckoning with Chu Du, Year, After, Dragon Breath, Affection, Perseverance. Rank 6 Immortal Gu, Unravel Mystery, Woman's Heart, Blood Acid, Dark Limit, Dog Shit Luck, Change Form, Strength Chi, Self-Strength, Flying Bear Strength, Culling Mountain, Culling Water, Landscape as Before, Man as Before, Star Eyes, Spring Autumn Cicada contains Heaven's Will, stored in the Immortal Zombie Body Bone Spike, Perceivable Tao. The mortal Gu were of all different types, they will be skipped. Hei Cheng's Dark Arrow Immortal Gu had self-detonated, Fang Yuan did not obtain it. In terms of captives, there was Fang Zheng in Langya Blessed Land, Hei Cheng intact body, Ma Hongyun's soul, Lu Yong's soul, Yi Lui Qunxing's soul. As for Shi Nu's soul, Fang Yuan did not obtain it. Shadow Sect had incredible attainment in soul path. Fang Yuan could not stop the soul from dissipating even though he captured it. As for the rest, like Dong Fang Chong Fan's soul, the Featherman Gu Immortal Soul, the Eastern Sea Gu Immortal Souls, they were all sold to Langya Land Spirit for sect contribution points. They were probably absorbed by Danghun Mountain and made into Guts Gu by now. There was also the Featherman Gu Immortal Slave Zhou Zhang. He was sent to Western Desert by Fang Yuan to establish another plan. Huge assets. This was Fang Yuan's current portfolio, it was no exaggeration. In total, even though he was rank 7, he could fully rival ordinary rank 8 Gu Immortals in assets. Just those secluded domains of heaven and earth were incredibly valuable. And his Gu worms were plentiful, the number shockingly high. Look at Gu Immortal Heifan, he was a rank 8 Gu Immortal. How many Immortal Gu did he have? But many Immortal Gu would create the problem of feeding them. Fang Yuan was still at this stage, trying to provide food for his Immortal Gu. The rank 6 and 7 Immortal Gu were basically fine. The problems were Attitude GU and Wisdom Sword Immortal GU, these two rank 8 Immortal GU. The new Perseverance GU that he obtained fed on Reverse Flow River's water, Fang Yuan could easily feed it. Affection GU fed on the same thing as Love GU, Hope and Fear, Fang Yuan could easily resolve that. He bought a large number of Hope GU and Fear GU from Treasure Yellow Heaven. For Fang Yuan, developing his immortal aperture was not the main point now. As long as he slaughtered GU immortals and annexed their immortal apertures, his immortal aperture's foundation would continue to grow. He was facing the problem of insufficient immortal essence. Pursuing Ying Wuxie and gang, the Reverse Flow River battle, and escaping from Mao Li Chu, Fang Yuan expended a lot of immortal essence. This caused his red date immortal essence storage to fall to a critical level. Originally, with my time path resources, the rate of time was fast, my immortal aperture produced a lot of red date immortal essence. But after using my time path methods, the immortal aperture's time is close to the 5 regions time, I can only replenish my immortal essence through transactions. Reverse Flow Protection Seal used a lot of the GU immortal's mental energy and immortal essence. Thankfully, Fang Yuan was a rank 7 GU immortal now. If he was still using green grape immortal essence, he would have ran out of them. Without red date immortal essence, Fang Yuan did not have much confidence. While resting, he sold all of the desolate beast corpses in Treasure Yellow Heaven. These desolate beast corpses were immortal materials of high quantity. Fang Yuan had exterminated these desolate beast groups while he was pursuing Ying Wuxie in Earth Trench. Among them were a group of nightmare demonic cults. If these Dream Path immortal materials were sold in Treasure Yellow Heaven, a huge commotion would arise, many GU immortals would fight for them. But Fang Yuan kept all of these nightmare demonic cult corpses with him, he had better use for them. After resting for a while, he made several transactions. After subtracting the transaction fees of Treasure Yellow Heaven, Fang Yuan earned a lot of Immortal Essence stones. One Immortal Essence stone could convert to 1 bead of green grape Immortal Essence. Fang Yuan was a rank 7 GU Immortal, using 100 Immortal Essence stones would create 1 bead of Red Date Immortal Essence. While he was replenishing his Red Date Immortal Essence stockpile, he received some information. This is a letter from 6th Hair. Fang Yuan felt strange. After checking it, he felt shocked. Shadow Sect wants to negotiate a truce with me, they even want us to work together. Author's note: collating Fang Yuan's assets was too tiring. Chapter 1292, Attitude Gu's Problem. Fang Yuan's gaze was flickering. Shadow Sect's letter was out of his expectations. But thinking about it, it was completely logical. In the Battle of Reverse Flow River, even though Fang Yuan did not obtain a lot of cultivation resources, his battle strength rose drastically. He was at the level of the strongest person under rank 8, on par with Feng Juzhe. The increase in his battle strength gave rise to his heightened status. Actually, before this letter, he also received others. Like the one from Chu Du. Chu Du spoke very politely in the letter, congratulating Fang Yuan for his victory and expressing regret at not being there. Next, he talked about his own situation. Chu sect was now Chu tribe, and the Supreme Elders were now all external Supreme Elders. The disciples of Chu Du were his godchildren now, and finally, Chu Du talked about his own difficulties. Because he created a tribe and became part of the righteous path, he had to expel Fang Yuan from Chu sect. This was not his own wish, he was forced to do so. There was also one from the 3 crazed demon eccentrics. Other than congratulating Fang Yuan, they invited him enthusiastically to explore Crazed Demon Cave. They said, even if Northern Plains did not welcome him, Crazed Demon Cave would always be his home. These words were very mushy, it showed their brand new attitude towards him. Regarding Longevity Heaven, they were putting up arrest warrants for Fang Yuan. After all, he killed Ma Hongyun. However, Lu tribe and Yi Lui tribe, who were pursuing Fang Yuan earlier, had quietened down. Fang Yuan's battle strength shocked them completely. They quickly recalled the members they sent out to find him. Instead, they were afraid that Fang Yuan would take revenge on them. After all, Fang Yuan's strength was incredibly famous in Northern Plains now, well beyond Chu Du. And now, Shadow Sect has sent a letter seeking cooperation. Hehe. Shadow Sect has a rank 8 GU Immortal, but he has a major weakness, he becomes insane at times. Fang Yuan thought about it, he had fought Purple Mountain True Monarch in Reverse Flow River, he learned something about his condition. Actually, if Fang Yuan did not refine Perseverance GU and create the Immortal Killer move Reverse Flow Protection Seal, he would have likely lost in the Battle of Reverse Flow River, he would have fallen into Ying Wuxia's trap. All along, Shadow Sect's remnant forces were Fang Yuan's biggest threat. Heavens will set an arrangement using Fang Yuan to steal sovereign immortal fetus Gu, causing Fang Yuan and Shadow Sect to have unresolvable enmity. If Shadow Sect wanted to refine sovereign immortal fetus Gu again, they would follow a method similar to what old ancestor Shui Hu was using to refine fortune rivaling heaven. He used Ma Hongyun as the main material for the Gu refinement. If Fang Yuan ended up in Shadow Sect's hands, he would not escape that fate. He would be used as the immortal material for that Gu refinement. He would be better off dead. But now, Fang Yuan's strength grew to a point where he could stand up to rank 8 Gu immortals, thus, Shadow Sect sought cooperation with him. This difference in attitude made Fang Yuan sigh deeply. Reverse Flow Protection Seal was like a weaker immortal Gu house, he could be unscathed against rank 8s, this gave Fang Yuan a lot of confidence. But cooperating with Shadow Sect is like walking on a tightrope. Even though Sixth Hair was saying the truth, and the reasons he gave were legitimate, there were indeed benefits to all of them if they cooperated. Disregarding anything else, just the soul path trap in Fang Yuan's immortal zombie body, and the secret of the sovereign immortal body, could be settled if they cooperated. However, Fang Yuan could not trust Shadow Sect. It was still the same problem. Fang Yuan and Shadow Sect could not trust each other. They were mortal enemies, how could they easily turn into allies? Even if they were rational people who prioritized benefits, the basis of cooperation between Gu immortals was not a person's reputation, but their information path methods instead. However, Fang Yuan was lacking in information path, this was his weakness. And Shadow Sect possessed powerful information path methods. Spectral Soul was a great Grand Master in all paths, ignoring everything else, just looking at Zombie Alliance and the organization, Defy. In Central Continent, they had used very powerful information path methods. Any organization was built upon the basis of alliance agreements. Fang Yuan could not trust Shadow Sect and did not dare to. If by cooperating, he was plotted against by them using information path methods, he would be an idiot. However, Fang Yuan did not reject them. He sent back a letter to probe Shadow Sect's sincerity. In the letter, he listed a request: give me attitude Gu directly if you want to cooperate. Speaking of which, even though Fang Yuan had been using attitude Gu all along, it was not his, it was borrowed from He Lu Lan. Back then, when lending the immortal Gu, both sides had an agreement, there was a time when he needed to return it. If he went past the time limit, Fang Yuan would not be able to use attitude Gu. That was because He Lu Lan's will was inside attitude Gu, not Fang Yuan's. And now, there was little time until the deadline. Attitude Gu was a legendary Gu worm that could be used with mental energy alone, it had outstanding effects with relatively low costs. Ever since Fang Yuan obtained it, he had passed many difficulties with its huge help. Even though attitude Gu had no offensive methods, it was legendary in the support aspect, it had unlimited uses. Without attitude Gu, the influence on Fang Yuan would be huge. Firstly, familiar face would be unusable. Even though Fang Yuan could use his transformation path Grandmaster attainment level to redesign this immortal killer move, without that rank 8 core, the entire immortal killer move would weaken severely. The chance of getting exposed when he pretended to be Wu Yihai would be huge, it was very dangerous. If I can use this opportunity to resolve attitude Gu's problem, that would be best. Fang Yuan was feeling somewhat hopeful. It was about time. Fang Yuan used Dark Limit Immortal Gu to increase its effect on him. Next, he stored his immortal aperture and set off. Towards the southwest direction, Central Continent, Heavenly Court. Inside the hall, Fairy Ziwei sat as she used her immortal killer move. Her entire body was emitting faint purple smoke from all of her pores. She was using wisdom path methods to deduce. Soon after, Fairy Ziwei's forehead was full of sweat as she opened her eyes. I have already used 7 killer moves, but I could not deduce the location of our Gu immortals. Fairy Ziwei sighed. Central Continent's Gu immortals attacked Northern Plains. After the Battle of Reverse Flow River, Fang Yuan fled the scene as Central Continent fought against old ancestor Shui Hu and Longevity Heaven in an intense battle. Central Continent wanted to reinforce them and send help. But this first batch of Central Continent Gu immortals had gone missing in Black Heaven. Fairy Ziwei could not deduce their locations, how could she save them? There was nowhere to send these reinforcements to. Duke Long beside her opened his eyes. He was still very weak, he was thin and frail like an old man. It seems that Giant Sun Immortal Venerable made many arrangements in Northern Plains. Have you deduced Lu Guanyi's location? Duke Long asked. Fairy Ziwei shook her head. He seems to have defensive methods to resist wisdom path deductions, but they are not strong. However, we know too little about him. If we had some crucial information, he would be exposed to us. Duke Long heard this and nodded. After a while, he spoke. So be it, continue deducing the location of RGU Immortals, as well as Lu Guanyi. Also, send me to Hidden Dragon Cave. Eastern Sea. Fang Yuan sighed helplessly, he had to place his immortal aperture down again. Lu Guanyi was famous in all 5 regions, Dark Limit's power was constantly being consumed on Fang Yuan's body, at a rapid rate. To maintain his secret, Fang Yuan had to stop many times. His immortal aperture's entrance opened, he drew in large amounts of heaven and earth chi. The sovereign immortal body could absorb heaven and earth chi from all 5 regions. Ordinary GU immortals could only absorb the heaven and earth chi of their region, if they placed their aperture in other regions, even though they could absorb it forcefully, because of the differing heaven and earth chi, their immortal apertures would shake and many resources would be destroyed. Right now, the sovereign immortal aperture had too many resources, along with desolate beasts and ancient desolate beasts. Each time he absorbed heaven and earth chi, the commotion was huge, it was like a typhoon occurring. Especially after he obtained Reverse Flow River, this secluded domain of heaven and earth had a heavy burden on the immortal aperture. Chapter 1293, Thoughts of Trading GU. It was fine if Reverse Flow River was outside, but if it stayed in the immortal aperture for long, it would consume a lot of heaven and earth chi. Once he lacked heaven and earth chi, his immortal aperture would be unstable. Thus, Fang Yuan had to constantly place his immortal aperture outside to absorb heaven and earth chi and replenish it. After he finished his absorption, Fang Yuan closed his immortal aperture's entrance. Arriving at Reverse Flow River, he held an immortal zombie body. It was his original body. He tossed the immortal zombie into Reverse Flow River. The immortal zombie body flowed along it. Using Perseverance Immortal GU and Reverse Flow River, Fang Yuan made his experiments, he used all of the methods he could think of. However, it was pointless. As expected, the immortal zombie body's soul path Dao marks cannot be destroyed or suppressed by Reverse Flow River. After all, these are soul path Dao marks, not immortal GU. Rank 1 to 8 immortal GU cannot be used in Reverse Flow River. But Dao marks still work. It is like before I conquered Reverse Flow River, my Dao marks still defended me. Thus, rank 8 GU immortals were the strongest in that river. Fang Yuan continued to analyze and think about his failed experiment. He wanted to use Reverse Flow River to resolve his soul path trap, it was impossible. Fang Yuan was not disheartened, in fact, he had expected this before trying it. He placed the immortal zombie body back inside Heaven Sealing Mountain, using the GU formation to seal it again. Next, he refined GU. A nightmare demonic cult corpse was in front of him. Fang Yuan's fingers moved like blades, golden light shone as he moved them. The golden light entered the nightmare demonic cult's body and vanished. The nightmare demonic cult's front leg was cut off. There was no blood. These nightmare demonic cults died in battle. Fang Yuan asked his immortal aperture's land spirits to process these materials first. The blood had been drained and kept elsewhere. Fang Yuan lifted the leg and immediately tore it away. Next, he breathed out fire and started to process this leg. 3 days later, the leg was finally melted into a dark purple liquid. Fang Yuan continued to throw in GU worms to refine GU. Over a dozen steps took up only 15 minutes. The dark purple liquid exploded, as 100 Dream Path mortal GU flew around chaotically in the sky. But Fang Yuan willed and they quickly went back to Fang Yuan's side. 100 Dream Path mortal GU. This was only a leg of this nightmare demonic cult. Processing this immortal material took the most time. This step took 3 days. The rest of the steps only took less than an hour. Such efficiency was very high, it was a clear contrast to Fang Yuan refining GU in his dream realm previously. In the dream realm, Fang Yuan had to collect Dream Path GU materials before refining GU. There was a risk in entering the dream, he even sometimes had to use the immortal killer move, Unravel Dream, to pass the dream realm. Refining Dream Path mortal GU but using immortal killer moves, the cost was very high. But now, Fang Yuan had these nightmare demonic cults, refining these Dream Path mortal GU was no longer like before. It is like earlier, when I used the Spring Dream Fruit to refine mortal GU, the efficiency was great. Actually, my GU refinement method can be improved. Like the cutting method earlier, I used Metal Path methods, it was not the best, some of the Dream Path Dao marks were consumed. When processing immortal materials, I can try other methods to see if there is a better way. While he was refining GU, Sixth Hair sent another letter. Using Langya Blessed Land, Sixth Hair was already the middleman between Feng Yuan and Purple Mountain True Monarch. In the letter, Purple Mountain True Monarch did not give in. He said bluntly, if Fang Yuan wanted to control Attitude GU, he would need to cooperate first. As long as they worked together, Attitude GU would be his. This time, Shadow Sect even mentioned the Sovereign Immortal Aperture's drawback. As for what it was, they did not say it. Rank 8 GU Immortals are truly hard to deal with. Drawback. Is Shadow Sect lying, or is it true? This information had a huge impact on Fang Yuan. But soon, he calmed down. He had gone through many difficulties, this scheme or threat was nothing to him. It seems I can only work hard myself. Fang Yuan sent a letter, he bargained and continued negotiating with Shadow Sect. But he had already realized that Shadow Sect would not give Attitude GU to him before cooperating. Fang Yuan started to design a new Immortal Killer move. He wanted to use this Immortal Killer move to refine Attitude GU. He was soon met with a problem. The reason was that even though he had many Immortal GU, they were not suitable for this purpose. It was not like the creation of Reverse Flow Protection Seal. Fang Yuan had Pulling Water Immortal GU and Perseverance Immortal GU, they were suitable as the two cores of this Immortal Killer move. But now, Fang Yuan's other Immortal GU were not especially useful for refining Attitude GU, they had limited connection to it and a lot of Mortal GU were needed. If only there is a chance to trade GU. This thought appeared in Fang Yuan's mind and rooted itself deeply. Trading Immortal GU. Fang Yuan had too many Immortal GU now, it was shocking. But in fact, a portion of the Immortal GU were not suitable for him, or rather, they did not have much use for the time being. Wisdom Sword, years flow like water, even though they were not usable now, they were rank 8, Fang Yuan would not exchange them. Fang Yuan did not have many Sword Path Dao marks, his Sword Path attainment level was ordinary as well, but Sword Eyebrows, Wave Sword, and Sword Escape, these Sword Path Immortal GU sustained a portion of his battle strength, he could not lose them. Looking over the situation, Change Soul Immortal GU could be traded. Woman's Heart was Poison Path, it had little use as well. Flying Bear Strength Immortal GU was Strength Path, but Fang Yuan used Ancient Sword Dragon Transformation, this Immortal GU was not useful. There was also Bone Spike Immortal GU, it was completely irrelevant to Fang Yuan's current circumstances. Perceivable Dao Immortal GU could inspect Dao marks, it had a mystical use, but to Fang Yuan, it was not very useful, he had to weigh up its value later. All in all, Woman's Heart, Flying Bear Strength, and Bone Spike, these three Immortal GU had little use to Fang Yuan, if they could be traded for other Immortal GU, that would be best. But trading GU, how difficult was that? During the 5 regions chaotic war, it was very common. But now, there were few opportunities for GU Immortals to undergo high-end trading sessions. This way, Fang Yuan continued to travel and stop. He wanted to go faster, but it was too difficult. Along the way, when placing his Immortal Aperture, he refined Dream Path Mortal GU and deduced Immortal Killer moves, attempting to refine Attitude GU to make it his own. This time, as Fang Yuan stored his Immortal Aperture and prepared to set off, his expression suddenly changed, he noticed traces of GU Immortals fighting. Chapter 1294, Reappearance of Chu Ying. We're finally past the regional wall. Ying Wuxie let out a breath of air, looking at the sea, he felt mentally fatigued. He Lulan and Bai Ningbing, who were beside him, were in no better condition. After leaving Northern Plains, Shadow Sect's group left for Eastern Sea. They did not have the sovereign immortal body, each time they passed the regional wall, it was a huge test. Thankfully, they were all powerful and were elites among GU Immortals. Even though their Immortal Apertures were damaged, they did not die. They were not leaving urgently. After entering Eastern Sea, they chose a random island. On this nameless island, Ying Wuxie directed Bai Ningbing and He Lulan to start arranging a refinement path GU formation. The GU formation succeeded in activation. Ying Wuxie came to the center and took out the purple gold rock, processing this immortal material. As for Bai Ningbing and He Lulan, they were outside the GU formation, standing to defend against any intruders. Not long after, the purple gold rock melted as the Miniman GU Immortal, Purple Mountain, True Monarch woke up again. He was a rank 8 GU Immortal, if he wanted to cross the 5 regions, he would normally have to use Black Heaven or White Heaven. But now, the parts of Black Heaven and White Heaven above Northern Plains were influenced by Luck Suppression Heavenly Palace, it was controlled by Longevity Heaven. Shadow Sect's group were not going to enter a trap. The outcome of Central Continent's GU Immortals were displayed to them. Shadow Sect had deep foundation, Purple Mountain True Monarch went into hibernation again as a purple gold rock formed around his body. His aura was completely concealed, his vitality was indiscernible, he was just like a dead object. Using such incredible methods, Ying Wuxie brought Purple Mountain True Monarch through the regional walls and arrived in Eastern Sea. The thin layer of purple gold rock was easily refined by Ying Wuxie, who had the right method. It was way easier than the time when Lady Wanshou had to process it. Eastern Sea, Purple Mountain True Monarch woke up and sighed as he looked at the vast sea area. Under his lead, Shadow Sect's group first dismantled the GU formation and stored its components, wiping all traces of it. Then, the 4 GU Immortals started to use the ancient battle formation omnidirectional travel. A moment later, they arrived in the turbulent flow sea area. Purple Mountain True Monarch led the way, none of the sea currents could pose as obstacles. Soon, Shadow Sect's group arrived at the center of the turbulent flow sea area. Where is the tributary of the River of Time? Unable to find the thing they needed, Ying Wuxie asked this in confusion. Don't tell me this tributary of the River of Time is already gone, it is at the fringe of the turbulent flows. He Lulan guessed. After some investigation, Purple Mountain True Monarch found some clues. That tributary of the River of Time has been taken away by someone. He said grimly. How can that be? Who did it? Is it Fang Yuan? Ying Wuxie first thought of Fang Yuan. But Purple Mountain True Monarch shook his head. This method should not be his. It is someone else, forget about it. Since we cannot use this tributary of the River of Time, we will go to the next location. There is a tributary of the River of Time there too. Shadow Sect's group left the turbulent flow sea area again. Elsewhere in Eastern Sea, there was a vast sea and sky. Above the sea, a life and death battle was unfolding. Quickly leave, I was hit by his lightning soul needle, he can sense my location, I cannot escape, I cannot implicate you. Immortal Hua Dai lay in a man's arms, speaking weakly. This woman was dressed in a raiment, her sleeves were fluttering, she wore light pink. Her eyes were showing signs of weakness, blood was flowing out of the corner of her mouth, her injuries were severe. Especially on her skin, there were tiny sparks shining at times, it was the sign of the Immortal Killer Move Lightning Soul Needle's effect. No, the male GU Immortal rejected unhesitantly. He had broad shoulders and a thin waist, he wore a suit of battle armor, and even though he was covered in injuries, his valiance could not be concealed. How can I abandon you? If I escape now, how can I face Lord Miao Mingshen? Even though he said that, when he looked towards Immortal Hua Dai, there was love in his eyes. He was Feng Zhang, Immortal Hua Dai, Gui Qi, these three were subordinates of the Eastern Sea Space Path expert Miao Mingshen. Miao Mingshen wanted to find a tributary of the River of Time in the turbulent flow sea area, thus these three GU Immortals would take turns to guard the turbulent flow sea area. When they saw any GU Immortals approaching the turbulent flow sea area, they would talk to them and ask for their help. Then you lovebirds can die together. There was only one person in pursuit, he had rank 7 cultivation level. He was named Zhe Wen, he wore a blue robe and had tough, dry skin, like tree bark. His eyes were shining with red light, his teeth were sharp, he had a sinister expression. This person was quite a senior and had some reputation in Eastern Sea. He was a Lightning Path Grandmaster, but once when he was using an Immortal Killer move, he failed and suffered a backlash, leading to him having no choice but to become an Immortal Zombie. Even so, he had outstanding battle strength, he possessed 2 Immortal GU, the rank 6 Immortal Hua Dai and Feng Zhang were forced to flee. Hand over the year cycle powder, you two are quite daring to snatch my immortal material. If you hand it over, I might leave you a proper corpse. Zhe Wen chuckled as he approached with overwhelming demonic aura. Immortal Hua Dai was anxious. We found this year's cycle powder first, how can it be yours? I have been here for half a month already, but the moment I looked away, you two took it. Zhe Wen growled. Immortal Hua Dai was incensed. Lord Miao Mingshen found this year's cycle powder 3 years ago and set a GU formation here. Once every few months, I would come there and take care of it. No matter how you distort the facts, you cannot change them. Immortal Hua Dai said the truth. Zhe Wen stopped denying it, his expression turned grim. HMPH, you have a sharp tongue, you will be the first one I kill. Demonic scoundrel, don't be cocky. At this moment, there was a clear voice that resounded in their ears. Who? Zhe Wen's expression changed, he shouted. The moment he said that, the sea level rose up like a small mound. Next, from within the mound, a fierce beast charged out, causing winds to blow and water the splatter. A blue-scaled sea dragon appeared before the 3 immortals, speaking, Demon, hand over your life. The three immortals saw this and understood that this blue-scaled sea dragon was a Gu Immortal's transformation. Immortal Hua Dai and Feng Zhang were happy and shocked. Zhe Wen was furious. Why are you a busybody? Take my killer move. Saying this, he breathed in deeply, spitting at his right palm. He did not spit out saliva, of course, it was an egg-sized flash of lightning. The lightning entered Zhe Wen's right palm and exploded into a beam of lightning that shot out from his palm. The blue-scaled sea dragon did not dodge, it opened its mouth towards the approaching beam of lightning. Dragon's breath. Zhe Wen saw this and laughed in his mind. My move can last for several minutes, while dragon breath needs to be used breath by breath, how can he last? But the blue-scaled sea dragon's breath did not end. The dragon's breath was like a beam of water colliding with the beam of lightning. Next, the powerful dragon breath smashed through the lightning pillar. In a few breaths' time, it got to Zhe Wen. How can this be? What dragon breath is this? Zhe Wen showed disbelief and shock on his face. He quickly dodged, but the blue-scaled sea dragon turned around and its dragon breath continued to sweep the battlefield. Zhe Wen frowned deeply, grunting, "You guys are lucky, I will spare you this time." Saying this, he retreated, turning into a flash of lightning with incredible speed. The blue-scaled sea dragon did not give chase, it watched as Zhe Wen left. He wants to return to the Gu formation, a lot of the year's cycle powder is left. Immortal Hua Dai pointed out Zhe Wen's plan. Feng Zhang placed Immortal Hua Dai down and cupped his fists at the blue-scaled sea dragon. "Virtuous friend, you defeated the powerful foe, we will not forget the gratitude of saving our lives. I would like to know your esteemed name." The blue-scaled sea dragon suddenly transformed into an ordinary-looking Gu Immortal. He smiled. "I am Chu Ying, Fairy Hua Dai, have you been well?" Immortal Hua Dai was surprised and joyful. "To think that you are Chu Ying." Seeing Feng Yang's gaze, Immortal Hua Dai explained, "It was thanks to Chu Ying that we found the tributary of the River of Time in the turbulent flow sea area. He was the reason Lord Miao Ming Shen could take away the tributary of the River of Time." Chapter 1295, Eastern Sea Trading Convention. So there was such a connection. Hearing Immortal Hua Dai's words, Feng Yang's expression turned to joy, his suspicions were dispelled. This Chu Ying was naturally Fang Yuan in disguise. After he stored his immortal aperture, he found that there were traces of Gu Immortals fighting in the sea areas around him. Out of curiosity, he followed the traces and wanted to see if there were some gains for him. In the end, he found that Immortal Hua Dai and another person, Feng Zhang, were being pursued by an enemy. And the pursuer was a rank 7 immortal zombie. At this point, such a person was a weakling to Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan had helped Immortal Hua Dai some time ago. He wanted to get in contact with the Space Path Gu Immortal expert, Miao Ming Shen, who was behind Immortal Hua Dai. This person knew of a method to enter and explore the Blue Dragon Whale. And this Blue Dragon Whale was not ordinary either, it was nurtured by Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable and awakened its immortal aperture, it possessed a huge treasury. It was like the dog-tail life extending ferret Mao Li Chu of Northern Plains. But the Blue Dragon Whale's wisdom was not enhanced, it could only swim freely in the ocean according to its instincts. Not only did Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable awaken its immortal aperture, he also used an immortal killer move on its body. Thus, this Blue Dragon Whale had almost no predators or dangers. The Blue Dragon Whale was mild in temperament and posed no danger, but its defensive power rendered all of those who wanted to harm it helpless. This was the style of Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable. According to a secret rumor in the 500 years of his previous life, Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable had left a true inheritance in the Blue Dragon Whale's body. Fang Yuan remembered that Miao Ming Shen had explored the world inside the Blue Dragon Whale many times. However, even though he had gains each time, he did not obtain the true inheritance from start to finish. Fang Yuan naturally cared about this. Thus, when he saw Immortal Hua Dai being pursued, he realized that this was a rare chance, he could express goodwill to Miao Ming Shen again. Thus, he intervened and chased the lightning path immortal zombie Zhe Wen away. He did not transform into an ancient sword dragon. The ancient sword dragon form could not be used openly now, because Lu Guanyi had used it to kill Yi Lui Qun Xing in Northern Plains. Right now, Lu Guanyi was the reverse flow river lord that was able to go unscathed against rank 8s. His reputation was renowned all over the world, almost everyone knew of him. Countless people were interested in Lu Guanyi, they tried to deduce his origins. The fact that Lu Guanyi possessed an ancient sword dragon transformation was known to all. Thus, once Fang Yuan used the ancient sword dragon transformation, other Gu Immortals would immediately think of Lu Guanyi. This was the burden of reputation. Even though Fang Yuan could not use ancient sword dragon transformation, he had change form Immortal Gu, he could turn into countless things in this world at will. Thus, he transformed into the blue-scaled sea dragon that was exclusive to Eastern Sea. This was also an ancient desolate beast. But its might could not rival the ancient sword dragon. However, Fang Yuan's dragon breath Immortal Gu could still be used. Worth mentioning was that the dragon breath of the blue-scaled sea dragon was also used breath by breath. Earlier, he could defeat the lightning path immortal zombie Zhen because Fang Yuan had used perseverance Immortal Gu at the same time. Rank 7 perseverance Immortal Gu, after obtaining it, Fang Yuan had tried to learn more about its ability. Gu Immortals nurture, use, and refine, these three aspects needed a lot of time and investment. After being in Eastern Sea for several days, Fang Yuan had already understood some of the uses of perseverance Immortal Gu. Other than conquering Reverse Flow River, Perseverance Immortal Gu could allow other Immortal Gu or Immortal Killer moves to last for a longer time. For example, the blue-scaled Sea Dragon's Breath. If Fang Yuan used Dragon Breath Immortal Gu solely, it could not break away from the normal limits of Dragon Breath, it would be used breath by breath, it could only be increased in strength. But if he used Perseverance Immortal Gu along with the Dragon Breath, then the Dragon Breath would be used for a long time without stopping. Of course, he could not sustain it for too long. Dragon breath had a huge burden on the throat, even real blue-scaled sea dragons breathed it out breath by breath. This was the self-defense mechanism of lifeforms after a long process of evolution. Thankfully, although that Zhen had some fame, he retreated wisely after a short battle with Fang Yuan, realizing that he was a strong opponent. After all, demonic path Gu immortals focused on profits. This friend is. Fang Yuan looked at Immortal Wadai. I am one of Lord Miao Mingshen's subordinates, Feng Zhang. Lord Chu, you are my savior, I wonder how I can thank you. Feng Zhang immediately introduced himself, it was very passionate and filled with gratitude towards Fang Yuan. No need to thank me, it was just a helping hand. I met you two coincidentally, thus I stepped in. Even though I am a secluded cultivator in Eastern Sea, I have been moving around recently, I cannot stand these demonic acts. I have this personality, and because Fairy Wadai is an acquaintance, I had no reason not to help. Fang Yuan was very humble. Immortal Wadai and Feng Zhang heard these words and felt closer to Fang Yuan. The three immortals talked for a while as Immortal Wadai sighed, it is a pity. There was so much year cycle powder, they are mostly in Zhen's hands now. Our efforts have been in vain. We should have made that Gu formation even more hidden. Feng Zhang consoled. Alright, little Dai, don't blame yourself. Eastern Sea is so big, but Zhen found this Gu formation so coincidentally. We are not skilled in formation path, this Gu formation is already the best that can be done. If we hide it even more deeply, we will need Immortal Gu. Fang Yuan smiled. I have something to say, even though the year cycle powder is lost, your lives are preserved, this is hope. Don't be disheartened, there are losses and gains in life, aren't our lives just a cycle of losing and winning anyway? Feng Zhang laughed. Lord Chu speaks deeply, this is truly insightful. Immortal Wadai's brows were locked, she was sorrowful, I understand this too, and at a different time, so be it if this year's cycle powder was lost. But right now, Lord Miao Mingshen is attending a trading convention, one of his Gu immortal friends need this. Lord Miao Mingshen has already agreed to his request, there are only a few days left until the convention, but the year's cycle powder was taken away, what should we do? Hearing this, Feng Yang's expression sank. That's right, we are going to return empty-handed. Even if Lord Miao Mingshen does not blame us, we will be at fault, we failed in our task. And most importantly, we will cause Lord Miao Mingshen's reputation to suffer, this is our fault. Trading convention. Fang Yuan was moved. Earlier, he was thinking about trading away some of the unsuitable Immortal Gu that he had. To think that this would come in such a timely manner, he actually encountered one of Eastern Sea's trading conventions. Eastern Sea was the most abundant in resources out of the 5 regions, even Central Continent could not match it. Eastern Sea Gu immortals were usually more affluent. This resulted in Eastern Sea's trading conventions to be very famous in the 5 regions, they involved high-end items and often, Gu immortals would exchange Immortal Gu with each other. Of course, this was not to say that the other 4 regions had no trading conventions. But they were too few of them, Fang Yuan could not join them either. Only Eastern Sea's trading convention served as his opportunity. I have Immortal Gu that I want to trade away, is it possible for me to join this trading convention? Fang Yuan did not hide his intention, he asked directly. Immortal Hua Dai and Feng Zhang looked at each other. The former said, "This trading convention is very high class, we are not qualified to join it, nor do we have the rights to recommend others. But Lord Chu Ying is different, you are our benefactor. How about this, can you follow us to meet with our Lord, and see what he says?" "All right," Fang Yuan nodded. "Shall we set off now?" He was very rushed. Because time was limited, Dark Limit's power was dwindling as other GU Immortals deduced matters about him. Immortal Hua Dai and Feng Zhang were a little hesitant, their mission to collect the year cycle powder had failed. They actually wanted Fang Yuan to help them take back the year cycle powder, but they could not ask it outright. Actually, Fang Yuan was aware about their intentions, but during their conversation, he held the initiative of the topic and did not give them any chance to ask. Right now, even though Fang Yuan could go unscathed against rank 8 GU Immortals, there was a flaw, it could not be used openly. Be it Ancient Sword Dragon Transformation or Reverse Flow Protection Seal, they could not be easily used. Once he did, he would have to consider how to keep them a secret. If too many traces were leaked out, Fang Yuan's identities and secrets might get deduced. By then, Wu Yihai's identity would be exposed too. Fang Yuan had gone through so much to enter the Super GU formation and interact with the Giant Dream Realm. If he lost this opportunity, it would be a terrible setback to his future cultivation. Immortal Hua Dai and Feng Zhang had no choice, they could only bring Fang Yuan away from here. They really had no courage to ask him. He had saved their lives, but they still wanted their benefactor to fight against a strong foe. They really had no face to ask him to do that. The three immortals moved quickly without stopping. But along the way, they talked and conversed a lot. As a matter of fact, Immortal Hua Dai had seen Fang Yuan twice and had a deep impression of him, but she was unclear about the background of this Chu Ying. Fang Yuan knew about her intention to probe him, thus he gave her half-truths about his origin. In the 500 years of his previous life, he had stayed in Eastern Sea for some time. Thus, his words were not lies. Especially some small details and experiences that he had, they were realistic. These experiences resonated deeply with Immortal Hua Dai and Feng Zhang. How could Fang Yuan show a flaw here? By the time they met Miao Mingshen, Immortal Hua Dai and Feng Zhang already had very good feelings towards this easygoing, rank 7 secluded cultivator, Chu Ying. But they did not know that Fang Yuan was the true demon. Compared to him, what was Immortal Zombie Zhe Wen's act of snatching some year cycle powder? Not long ago, Fang Yuan had taken Reverse Flow River directly from old ancestor Shuihu. Chapter 1296, Light Shine Fungi. Eastern Sea. In an ordinary sea area, there was a nameless mountain, it was desolate and barren, there were only rocks and caves in it. Several GU Immortals descended from the sky. Among them were Fang Yuan, Immortal Hua Dai and Feng Zhang. To think that this trading convention would be held on such an empty island. Fang Yuan stepped on the island as he sighed to himself. Brother Chu, you might be unaware that large trading conventions like this usually have their locations decided several days before the meeting, to prevent others from having ill intentions. A GU Immortal beside Fang Yuan said. This male GU Immortal was neither tall nor short, neither fat nor thin. In terms of appearance, he looked ordinary, only his flat and wide nose left a heavy impression on others. This person was a famous rank 7 Space Path GU Immortal expert in Eastern Sea, Miao Mingshen. In terms of appearance, he was not outstanding, but after Fang Yuan interacted with him, even though it was a short time, he could feel that this person was impressive, his appearance was deceiving. Fang Yuan had saved Immortal Hua Dai and Feng Zhang under the identity of Chu Ying, learning about the trading convention. Next, he followed Immortal Hua Dai and Feng Zhang to meet Miao Mingshen. Miao Mingshen had no hesitation as he agreed to Fang Yuan's request of joining the trading convention. Friend, you have helped me twice, you are also the benefactor of Little Dai and Little Feng. This is just a trading convention, how can I reject you? Please do grace us with your presence. He was a rank 7 GU Immortal expert, but Chu Ying was a secluded cultivator with no reputation. Yet Miao Mingshen did not put on airs, he was very amiable. He spoke politely and warmly to others. Thus, Fang Yuan and Miao Mingshen came to attend the trading convention. The four of them had just stepped onto the island when a GU Immortal came out of a rock. Miao Mingshen, you are here. A midget GU Immortal with a big head and small body welcomed them. Haha, tu tuo, long time no see. Miao Mingshen said warmly, he laughed as he quickly went up to the person. Come, let me introduce the two of you. This is a secluded cultivator of Eastern Sea, Chu Ying, this is a rare Earth Path Grand Master in Eastern Sea, tu tuo. Miao Mingshen said. Greetings to you. Fang Yuan was polite but his expression was stiff. He pretended to be a secluded cultivator who was not good at interacting with people. It was flawless. Tu Tuo looked at Fang Yuan with several glances. He smiled with his yellow teeth. You received Miao Mingshen's recommendation and are here for the first time. Haha, in the past, I also joined in after Miao Mingshen's recommendation. Tu Tuo was also quite polite. He thought, Miao Mingshen has good foresight, the people he invites are all talented experts. This Chu Ying looks unassuming and has no reputation, but since he has Miao Mingshen's recommendation, he is not simple. While thinking of that, Tu Tuo said, follow me, I was the first to arrive, there is nothing much to do but wait now, we can create a space underground first. I will trouble brother too. After all, this time, I am the host of the trading convention, Miao Mingshen said courteously. Haha, it is just an underground cave, it is nothing much. Come, Tu Tuo looked at Miao Mingshen like an old friend, he grabbed his arm and led him underground. Everywhere he went, the tough ground melted like flowing water, opening a wide path that extended underground. Tu Tuo and Miao Mingshen walked ahead while Fang Yuan, Feng Zhong and Immortal Wadai walked behind them. Tu Tuo and Miao Mingshen talked along the way. Miao Mingshen had incredible interpersonal skills. Tu Tuo was laughing as he talked, his laughter was reverberating in the cave. Furthermore, Miao Mingshen did not give the cold shoulder to Fang Yuan, he turned around to talk to Fang Yuan. His words seemed ordinary, but they felt natural and did not make Fang Yuan feel like he was alone, or that he was neglected. The underground cave was very ordinary, but it was wide enough. There was a platform, and several chairs in front of it, they were huge. There were carvings on the chairs, they were fluid patterns. This showed Tu Tuo's incredible skills, and the meticulous aspect that he had. Fang Yuan counted, there were 6 chairs. It seems that this trading convention only had 6 people originally. Immortal Wadai and Feng Zhong are not part of this, they will leave when the trading convention starts and guard the area. Fang Yuan guessed. There is a new member, I will add a chair. Tu Tuo stomped lightly as a mound appeared on the ground, it started to rotate like a ball. In the blink of an eye, a chair was carved out like it was made by an artisan. Fang Yuan and the rest sat down while waiting for the other immortals. Not long later, 2 GU immortals appeared. The former was a girl, she looked like a child with 2 ponytail braids, her eyes were round and watery, but there was deep maturity in them. She was Tonghua, a rank 7 light path GU immortal famous in the north of Eastern Sea. The latter was a male immortal. He had an aquiline nose, his gaze was dark and he wore a black robe, having messy hair. He was Wu Ma Yang, a dark path GU immortal, having exemplary battle strength among rank 7 GU immortals. His immortal killer move, Dark Arrow Veil, had once defeated 3 rank 7 GU immortals working together. This battle caused his reputation to surge in Eastern Sea for some time. Tonghua talked a lot, while Wu Ma Yang was uncommunicative. The two sides continued to mingle, and under Miao Mingshen's intentional guidance, the atmosphere became congenial. 15 minutes later, a 3rd GU immortal entered this space. He was Gong Liangbai, a Wisdom Path GU immortal who also cultivated Wood Path. Wisdom Path was his main focus, but Wisdom Path GU immortals were few in numbers, especially those like Fang Yuan who possessed a complete Wisdom Path GU immortal true inheritance. However, not only did Gong Liangbai have a complete Wisdom Path true inheritance, he even had some achievements in his cultivation. Even though he could not match the top 3 Wisdom Path experts, among lone immortals, he had a huge network and was willing to deduce for people in exchange for payment. The saying goes, Jia Dan sits in Twin Polar, Waan hides in Nangong, there is also Dragon Head Tortoise, living inside Adversity Sea. This saying refers to the publicly recognized 3 most powerful Wisdom Path GU immortals in Eastern Sea currently. Song Jia Dan, Waan, they were Righteous Path members, they rarely deduced for lone immortals. And Dragon Head Tortoise was always inside Adversity Sea, his traces were hard to find, it was hard for people to seek help from him. Gong Liangbai, after these trades, let's have a good talk. I have some things for you to deduce. While talking, Miao Mingshen said. Is it that Lu Guanyi? I have received many requests from others, they are all after this person. Gong Liangbai said. Of course not, Miao Mingshen denied. Gong Liangbai nodded. Then that is fine. Speaking of which, I have already made 5 deductions, I failed each time. There are simply too few clues, and that Lu Guanyi has methods to defend against deductions. Fang Yuan listened by the side, his expression did not change, though he felt a little awkward. This topic attracted everyone's attention. Tu Tuo shouted. This Lu Guanyi is so popular now, he is completely famous. Anyone who can render rank 8 GU immortals unable to deal with them as a rank 7 will go down in history. Tong Hua sighed. Resisting rank 8 with rank 7 cultivation level, this is truly a goal to set. Miao Mingshen smiled bitterly. It is a pity that I've had no opportunity to befriend such a person. Fang Yuan was sitting right beside him. Hearing this, he said expressionlessly, I heard that Lu Guanyi could resist rank 8s as a rank 7 because he became the reverse flow river lord. This reverse flow river is a secluded domain of heaven and earth, but how can it be so powerful as to leave rank 8 existences without options? Thus, the Immortal's topic of discussion turned from Lu Guanyi to reverse flow river. Fang Yuan had subtly changed the conversation's direction. The GU Immortals talked until night time. When night appeared and the moon rose, the trading convention began. The other 2 GU Immortals also had arrived. The trading convention officially began. According to the rules set earlier, Tong Hua stood on the platform. This is a desolate plant, I found it when exploring a deep sea. That place was dark as an abyss, but I saw some light far away. When I found the source, I took several minutes to reach it. The place was like a paradise of light path. It was so dazzling with rays of light extending immeasurably far. Initially, I thought that it was light from the corals. But soon, I found some green fungus on the surface of the corals. This green fungus is a desolate plant seen all over that place. I named it light shine fungus. It contains light path Dao marks and can emit strong light. Tong Hua talked about her findings, and the process of her naming. Fang Yuan was surprised, to think that he found something he wanted when the trading convention had just started. Light Shine Fungi, Chapter 1297, Divination Tortoiseshell Immortal GU. Fang Yuan needed light. He had first used Aurora Light. He had bought large numbers of dazzling light GU to increase the Aurora Light in his Immortal aperture. The more intense the Aurora Light, the more flowing light fruits could be formed. And rank 8 attitude GU fed on these fruits. Light Shine Fungus was a type of desolate plant that provided light which was not like the multicolored Aurora Light. But this was not absolute. Humans had the highest intelligence, they were most skilled in adapting flexibly. There were methods to modify and graft plants in this world. Wood Path GU Immortals excelled at this. Each path has its own specialties, and Wood Path GU Immortals were often skilled at managing immortal apertures. Thus, if Fang Yuan brought in Light Shine Fungi, he might be able to modify them in the future using Wood Path methods into Aurora Light Shine Fungi. It was possible. Other than Attitude GU, there was Wisdom Sword Immortal GU. Wisdom Sword Immortal GU fed on multicolored Overlord flowers. If Fang Yuan wanted to plant multicolored Overlord flowers on a large scale, he needed to fulfill 3 conditions. Illumination, Sweet Scents and Pearl Soil. The latter 2 were easy to achieve, but illumination was hard. Fang Yuan's Immortal aperture had light path Dao marks, and he had also annexed a light path blessed land, but it was far from Fang Yuan's goal. If he used Light Shine Fungi, he would be able to solve the problem of mass production of multicolored Overlord flowers. But there was an uncertainty in this. Light Shine Fungi grew in the deep sea, could they still survive in other environments? This should not be a problem, after all, Light Shine Fungus is a desolate plant. Even ignoring Aurora Lights, earlier, I plundered Blue Tribe's Jade Light Pit, I gained a lot of replenishment. Even though I am still not at the required standard, I am close. But multicolored Overlord flowers are different, their scale is far from optimal. I have too few light path Dao marks currently, and not all of my light path Dao marks can gather at the multicolored Overlord flowers. My other lifeforms need light too. Oh, that's right, I have transformation path Dao marks. In crucial moments, I can convert them to light path Dao marks temporarily. While Fang Yuan was thinking, Tong Hua spoke. I am willing to trade these desolate plant light shine fungi for story-building water elephants, 3 of them. Once she said that, a GU Immortal responded. Story-building water elephants, I have a few. How many stories do you want from the water elephants? Story-building water elephants were a special type of beast in Eastern Sea. They had varying sizes, with white tusks and blue skin. Water elephants with 1-story buildings were like boats and had blue jade exoskeleton on their backs resembling buildings. 2-story building water elephants were larger, with 2 floors of blue jade exoskeleton on their backs. Similarly, 6-story building water elephants had wide backs and were like huge boats. They were desolate beasts. 7-story building water elephants were ancient desolate beasts, and 8-story building water elephants were immemorial desolate beasts. They were extremely rare. 9-story building water elephants did not exist. Be it beasts or plants, or even variant humans, there were no rank 9 versions of them. Among humans, there were only 10 of them, rank 9 GU Venerables, they were unique among all lifeforms. Tonghua showed the scale of her light shine fungi and told the GU Immortals that she wanted a total of 3 6-story building water elephants. This was not expensive, it was very standard. But that GU Immortal frowned. I only have 1 6-story building water elephant, the light shine fungi can be split up, would you like to trade? Tonghua hesitated, he might not be speaking the truth. After considering it, Tonghua nodded, then let's trade. Thus, the first deal was made, both sides transacted quickly. I would like some light shine fungi, but I do not have story building water elephants, do you accept immortal essence stones? Fang Yuan asked. Tonghua shook her head, but she did not reject him entirely, if there are no story building water elephants, never mind. But my light shine fungi will be sold in Treasure Yellow Heaven, you can buy them then. In fact, Eastern Sea had mostly water path GU Immortals. And light shine fungi suited Eastern Sea GU Immortals a lot. Like Wu Yihai for example, his immortal aperture was a sea. Tonghua was only testing the waters with this new discovery, seeing if she could gain benefits from it. As for selling them for immortal essence stones, Tonghua did not want that. Because she did not know the market price. This was a new finding, she was selling it for the first time, Tonghua did not know its value. However, she was very expectant about it. Thus, she rejected Fang Yuan without hesitation. What if this light shine fungus was very popular in Treasure Yellow Heaven, then wouldn't her sale price be at a loss now? But if she sold it for too high of a price, the other party would not trade. Treasure Yellow Heaven was the best place for that. Tonghua did not want to sell it, Fang Yuan was helpless. But he understood her. This was a new desolate plant, she could use some methods to raise the prices later. Even though this world's economy was not developed, GU Immortals were astute people, they knew how to jack up prices. Especially this light shine fungus, in the world, currently only Tonghua had it. If it were Fang Yuan, he would also elevate the price at the initial stage to earn a huge profit. This light shine fungus was just a rank 6 desolate plant, once it was in the market for some time, people would research about it, and Tonghua's monopoly would be gone. After all, Eastern Sea was so big, light shine fungi would not grow in only one place. GU Immortals could create a method to seek out light shine fungi after some research. That would cause the supply of light shine fungi to rise sharply. Seeing that no one else was interested, Tonghua stepped down. Next, the second GU Immortal went up onto the platform. This was the rule of the trading convention. In each round, the GU Immortals would go up in order that was decided earlier. They could only put up one resource each round. This ensured relative fairness. As for Fang Yuan, a newly joined member, he could also transact and go on the platform, but he was the last person. This is marrow-sucking stone, rank 7 immortal material, I want some 1000-year floating wood. The GU Immortal who went up expressed himself quickly, explaining his item. Once he said that, he displayed it. This marrow-sucking stone was black and looked like an ordinary rock by the beach. But in fact, as long as a life form that had bone marrow got close to it, they would be sucked inside. Thus, marrow-sucking stone was known as a demon stone. Demon stone was a name coined by mermen. Mermen were a type of variant human, most mermen in the world lived in Eastern Sea. Mermen could live underwater and breathe, when they met marrow-sucking stones, they had suffered from them, thus, they feared and called them demon stones. In Eastern Sea's history, there were some merman tribes who treated these demon stones as deities to worship. But to GU Immortals, this marrow-sucking stone was just an immortal material. This transaction was successful as well. 1000-year floating wood might be rare in the market, but the GU Immortals here were all affluent, otherwise, they would not have gathered for this trading convention. Birds of a feather flock together, GU Immortals who associated with Miao Mingshen were not simple. One could say, this small trading convention was a rare gathering of experts in Eastern Sea. After the second GU Immortal, Tuo went up. I have an ancient desolate beast queen toad. It can command all huge toads at rank 6 level and below. If raised well, it can nurture enslavement path immortal GU as well. Anyone interested? The queen toad had a lot of enslavement path Dao marks. But Tuo's transaction failed. The fourth GU Immortal. I am looking for clues to Chi Si. Anyone know how to find Chi Si and how to get in? I am willing to pay a high price for relevant information. It was also possible to trade information, but the GU Immortals present stayed silent. This transaction also failed. Chi Si was a special and mysterious sea area in Eastern Sea. The GU Immortals present might be unsure of it, or some might know but did not want to trade. The GU Immortals went up one by one. The first round was about to end. Fang Yuan was the final one. And Miao Mingshen was second last. He went up. I have a rank 7 divination tortoise shell immortal GU, anyone wants to trade? Fang Yuan heard this and his eyes shined. Chapter 1298. Trading GU. The trading convention was underway. As the host of this trading convention, Miao Mingshen originally was to be the final person to get on the stage. But because Fang Yuan joined in, he became the last person. Miao Mingshen was now the second last to trade. In this aspect, Fang Yuan could see Miao Mingshen's great interpersonal skills. GU Immortals who got to trade first had the bigger advantage. Miao Mingshen, as the final person, was expressing goodwill to everyone. But he could not place Fang Yuan before him. This was against the rules. Newcomers had to be last. If he went against this, everyone would be unhappy. After all, Miao Mingshen was the host of this session, but what about the next? Interpersonal skills were nothing much, it was just one's attitude when interacting with people. Miao Mingshen had a good grasp of this, he made the people that he interacted with feel friendly towards him. However, Fang Yuan's mind was not on Miao Mingshen, his gaze was shining as he looked at the immortal GU that Miao Mingshen was holding. Rank 7, Divination Tortoise Shell GU. Fang Yuan was greatly enticed. Why? Because Fang Yuan had many methods that he could not use. Like Ancient Sword Dragon Transformation or Reverse Flow Protection Seal, if they were used, Fang Yuan had to make sure there were no survivors. Otherwise, intelligence on him would leak and GU Immortals would be able to find out more information about him, he would be forced into a corner. This was quite awkward, actually. As Fang Yuan got stronger, the problems he created were getting bigger. Shadow Sect, Heavenly Court, Longevity Heaven. Looking at his opponents and enemies, all of them were colossal forces. Recently, he even made enemies with old ancestor Shui Hu, the #1 rank 8 in Northern Plains. Thus, Fang Yuan was facing great pressure, he had not reached rank 9. Only after reaching rank 9 would Fang Yuan be able to announce his identity openly, nobody would be able to stop him. Before reaching rank 9, even if Fang Yuan cultivated to rank 8, Longevity Heaven and Heavenly Court could still find trouble with him. Currently, rank 7 Fang Yuan had to act with a low profile, he had to disguise himself and cultivate rapidly to accumulate strength. Becoming Wu Yihai has a weakness, or rather, I have a flaw. Fang Yuan could not fight when he was Wu Yihai, because he was not the real Wu Yihai. After soul-searching Wu Yihai, Fang Yuan found that Wu Yihai had 3 transformation killer moves. One was a coral form, one was a seagull form, and the third was a tortoise. Earlier, during the battle in the regional wall, Wu Yihai had turned into a tortoise to defend himself. Fang Yuan remembered clearly that it was a horned divine tortoise. An ancient desolate beast with a tough shell, it was top 10 in that regard among Eastern Sea's ancient desolate beasts. Actually, this could be seen from Wu Yihai's immortal aperture. Wu Yihai's immortal aperture was a sea. There were 3 types of lifeforms inside, sea turtles and tortoises with the ancient desolate beast horned divine tortoise, corals with the ancient desolate plant silent coral, and seagulls with the desolate beast white letter blue feather seagull. As a transformation path GU immortal, he would often raise the species that he transformed into. Firstly, these lifeforms were resources that could help with his transformation path cultivation. Like the horned divine tortoise that Wu Yihai cultivated, if he needed any immortal GU in the future, he could kill these horned divine tortoises to refine it. Secondly, transformation path GU immortals had to have a clear understanding of these lifeforms that they transformed into to raise their battle strength. Raising them in the immortal aperture would allow them to observe the lifeforms and eventually have realistic transformations with greater battle strength. As for Fang Yuan, this was just a method. Fang Yuan's transformation path attainment level was raised from dream realms and tribulations. Once his attainment level rose, it would influence all these cultivation aspects, including this. Thus, Fang Yuan saved a lot of trouble, he could skip a long time of observation and practice. If I can have this immortal GU, it would be very useful to me. Fang Yuan became more enticed as he thought about it. The divination tortoise was a wisdom path ancient desolate beast, it had one ability to defend against deductions. Many GU immortals wanted to capture this ancient desolate beast, but using wisdom path methods to deduce its location was too difficult. If Fang Yuan became a divination tortoise, it would help him greatly when traveling. He concluded that this immortal GU was extremely useful. Or rather, it was too useful. For others, rank 7 divination tortoise-shell immortal GU might be useless. After all, it could only defend one's back. But if one wanted its deduction prevention ability, it was instead not as effective as other methods. Thus, it had little use. Furthermore, why would a GU immortal face deductions all the time? Was everyone Lu Guanyi? Fang Yuan, however, was different. He was extremely famous in the 5 regions now, even his fake identity was. Furthermore, Fang Yuan could transform into a divination tortoise and use the transformation path Dao marks. It was an immortal killer move. The ability to defend against deductions would be far stronger than using divination tortoise shell immortal GU alone. Fang Yuan looked around. What made him happy was that these people were not very interested in the immortal GU. Transactions of immortal GU were only done through exchange. This was because immortal GU were unique, their value could not be determined easily. The value of immortal GU completely depended on the person. The same immortal GU could be a burden to someone. After all, the price of feeding immortal GU was huge, but to others, they would pursue it relentlessly, they would treat it like a treasure if they got it. Immortal GU. To think that he is trading immortal GU in the first round. The GU immortals sighed, they spoke softly, but they stayed on their seats, not moving. Miao Mingshen smiled. He had anticipated this. They were few transformation path GU immortals. Among those present, Chu Ying was the only one. And even Chu Ying might not be very interested in this immortal GU. Transformation path GU immortals usually cultivated 2 or 3 transformations, too many was pointless. Unless they had the essence of transformation path, change form immortal GU, it could allow them to turn into any form. But Miao Mingshen had his intentions in doing this. He was the host of this trading convention. If news that an immortal GU trade had occurred in the first round got out, it would elevate the status of this trading convention, it would attract more GU immortals with greater wealth here. I am willing to trade for this immortal GU. Fang Yuan stood up from his seat. At once, the GU immortals looked towards Fang Yuan with surprised expressions. Miao Mingshen was slightly dazed, before reacting and smiling even wider now. I wonder what you would like to trade for? Fang Yuan asked. Miao Mingshen chuckled. Chu Ying, this is your first trading convention, and you are my benefactor. How about this? I do not have much use for this immortal GU, we can trade anything. This time, Fang Yuan was dazed, he did not expect Miao Mingshen to list such an easy condition. But even so, immortal GU transactions could only be done with immortal GU, other things were not usable. Fang Yuan thought about it. I have flying bear strength immortal GU. Deal. Before Fang Yuan finished his words, Miao Mingshen agreed without hesitation. Fang Yuan could not help but look at Miao Mingshen, realizing why this person was doing so well in Eastern Sea's GU immortal world. He was a lone immortal, but he actually had several GU immortals that were so loyal to him. But some things had to be stated clearly. He smiled bitterly. Friend, I am in admiration towards your intentions, but I have not finished my words. My flying bear strength immortal GU is only rank 6. Miao Mingshen's expression changed. The other immortals' expressions also turned grim, they looked at Fang Yuan with dark gazes. Flying bear strength was a strength path immortal GU, while divination tortoise shell immortal GU was transformation path. Strength path was declining, but transformation path was still popular and strong. Between the two, flying bear strength immortal GU was already less valuable than divination tortoise shell immortal GU. And now, flying bear strength was only rank 6. How could a rank 6 immortal GU and rank 7 immortal GU be traded? The value was completely different. Chapter 1299, Another Trade. The difficulty of refining one rank 6 immortal GU was very different from refining a rank 7 immortal GU. Fang Yuan wanted to use rank 6 flying bear strength immortal GU to exchange for rank 7 divination tortoise shell immortal GU. If spoken nicely, he was dreaming, but to be blunt, he was simply too greedy, he was trying to take advantage. This, taking advantage, also gave a feeling of disdain. Who did he think Miao Mingshen was? Was he easy to bully? Or did he think the others were fools? Thus, the GU immortals having grim expressions was understandable. Fang Yuan smiled. He saw these immortals' attitude and expressions, he knew why these people had a change of emotion. But he still asked, will you exchange it? Miao Mingshen smiled forcefully, but he nodded. Yes. You have helped me twice, these will suffice. The other GU immortals heard this and looked at Miao Mingshen in a different light, their disdain towards Fang Yuan increased. One of them even snorted coldly, expressing his unhappiness towards Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan suddenly laughed. He said, Everyone has said how incredible Lord Miao Mingshen is. I was disbelieving, but after today, I completely agree. How can I take advantage of you? I will compensate you with something else, you will definitely be pleased. Saying this, Fang Yuan transmitted to Miao Mingshen secretly. Miao Mingshen heard this and his expression changed, he became excited. Chu Ying, are you serious? Ha ha ha, let's do the deal now, you will know if it's true or false. Fang Yuan laughed again. Sorry, we need to do this transaction alone. Miao Mingshen said as Fang Yuan followed him to leave the cave. They went outside for the transaction, afterwards, the two returned with smiles on their faces. Fang Yuan was relaxed, while Miao Mingshen was smiling in a pleased manner. The two were walking together closely, everyone could tell that their relationship had gotten closer. After sitting down, Miao Mingshen cupped his fists at Fang Yuan. I owe you a third favor. Your demeanor is truly magnificent. This is merely a transaction, there is no favor. Fang Yuan was very polite. These words made the GU immortals very perplexed. At once, they started guessing. What did Chu Ying trade to make up for the difference, and make Miao Mingshen so happy? Miao Mingshen sat down but Fang Yuan did not. After this transaction, it was Fang Yuan's turn, he went on the platform. The immortals looking at him had different gazes now, they were solemn and curious, with probing intentions. At the same time, they were curious about what Fang Yuan was going to offer. This was because they did not know Fang Yuan, he was a stranger. According to Fang Yuan's offer, they would be able to guess some information about him. Like what immortal materials he had in abundance, they were often produced in their own blessed lands. This way, some intelligence could be deduced, like how developed Fang Yuan's immortal aperture was, and what types of Dao marks he had inside. If it were one or two damaged ancient desolate beast corpses, they were often the GU immortal's spoils of battle. If an ancient desolate beast reared in the immortal aperture died, the corpse would not be damaged. Such corpses would allow the immortals to assess Fang Yuan's battle strength as well. GU immortals focused heavily on gathering intelligence. On this aspect, information path GU immortals had the greatest advantage. But what Fang Yuan took out shocked them. Everyone, take a look, this is a bone path rank 6 immortal GU, bone spike. I obtained it by chance, but I am not a bone path GU immortal, I want to trade with it, does anyone want this? As for what I want in return, I am like Lord Miao Mingshen, I have no specific preference. Fang Yuan smiled. An immortal GU again. This is the first round, there are actually 2 immortal GU transactions. This Chu Ying is quite rich, he is a transformation path GU immortal but he had 2 immortal GU of other paths. The first transaction is done, but this one might not succeed. There are no bone path GU immortals here. The GU immortals talked to each other secretly, they were close with one another. None. Fang Yuan waited for a while, but no GU immortal spoke. He felt no disappointment. The rank 7 immortal GU, divination tortoise shell, was worth coming to this trading convention. Just when Fang Yuan was about to step down, a voice said, wait, I think we can trade with this immortal GU. The immortals turned to look, it was Wu Ma Yang. Strange, he is a dark path GU immortal, why does he want a bone path immortal GU? This question appeared in everyone's minds. Bone spike immortal GU had no relation with dark path. But if Wu Ma Yang had any immortal killer moves that needed bone spike immortal GU, then it was possible for him to want this immortal GU. Everyone had their own secrets, even though the GU immortals were puzzled, they held in their questions and watched quietly. There is a GU immortal who wants bone spike immortal GU. Fang Yuan was also curious. He asked, I wonder what you would like to trade with. Wu Ma Yang frowned, he hesitated a little before gritting his teeth, I will trade this immortal GU. He displayed this immortal GU. It was a rank 6 immortal GU, on the same rank as bone spike immortal GU. The GU immortals looked as someone cried out, this is Day immortal GU. That's right, this was the rank 6 time path, Day GU. Fang Yuan was stunned, I did not expect this trading convention was really worth it. Fang Yuan rejoiced internally, but his expression was blank, he seemed to be in deep thought. There was no need to think. The moment Fang Yuan saw this immortal GU, he wanted it. The reason? Because he had He Fan's true inheritance, he had rank 7 year GU, after immortal GU, and years flow like water, as well as a bunch of time path immortal killer moves. He remembered that in the true inheritance, He Fan had been talking about immortal level day GU and month GU non-stop. He remembered those 4 immortal killer moves, days pass like years and the rest. If the inheritor can obtain immortal level day GU or month GU, these 4 immortal killer moves would not need to expend so many mortal day GU and month GU, the effect would even rise greatly. These were the words recorded in He Fan's True Inheritance. Fang Yuan saw this and did not think much of them. He was not overly ambitious, year GU was enough to satisfy him. But destiny was very mystical. When Fang Yuan had placed no attention on immortal level day GU and month GU, day GU appeared right in front of him like this. Let's exchange it. Even though I am not familiar with time path, feeding bone spike immortal GU is certainly a burden. Fang Yuan said, my day GU consumes the water of the river of time, it has no feeding problems. However, I cannot use this immortal GU, I might as well trade it for bone spike immortal GU, to add into my immortal killer moves. Wu Ma Yang said. The two traded quickly. The original wills inside the 2 immortal GU left as the other party's immortal essence entered. The GU immortals will inside the immortal essence was the true key to refining GU. In Earth's terms, wills were like a preset program to GU worms. Wills could think. Wild GU worms had their own wills. Refining wild immortal GU was simply using the GU immortals will together with immortal essence to erase the wild will. Wild wills had the instinct to survive, they could not destroy themselves, thus, even though it was tough for GU immortals to refine immortal GU, it was not risky. Other people's immortal GU were different. A GU immortal's will was vastly different from wild will. Trying with brute force to refine someone else's immortal GU would only destroy it. For example, Fang Yuan could recall his immortal GU with just a special will set inside them. Basically all GU immortals would not allow another person to refine their immortal GU directly. Once that was happening, the will inside the immortal GU would destroy the GU worm. Unless wisdom path methods were used to suppress the immortal GU's will. But usually, it would be hard to suppress all of it in an instant. With a small flaw, the immortal GU would be destroyed. Precisely because of this, even though Fang Yuan captured He Cheng, he did not obtain Dark Arrow immortal GU. And because of this, even though Fang Yuan and He Lu Lan's alliance agreement was gone, he could not directly refine Attitude GU, it was a problem. Chapter 1300. Refining Attitude GU. This particular trading convention is very different. That's right, it is truly not normal. In our usual trading conventions, even though there are immortal GU trades, they will not appear in the first round. It was traditionally hard to trade immortal GU, most of the members in the trading convention had limited chances. Thus, they would usually put up the items which were unlikely to be traded to the end. Thus, even if they wanted to trade away their immortal GU, the GU immortals would choose to do it in the last few rounds. This was normal in trading conventions. But this time, it was different. Not only was there an immortal GU trade in the first round, it happened twice. And more importantly, both times succeeded. And in these 2 transactions, Fang Yuan played a pivotal role. Even though this was the first time he came to a trading convention, the GU immortals present did not dare to underestimate this newcomer, Chu Ying, anymore. We will start the second round now, Fairy Tonghua, please. Miao Mingshen said. He was very happy. The trading convention had just started and immortal GU were already traded, this result would help him a lot when he traveled over Eastern Sea's GU immortal world. Tonghua went onto the platform, she wanted to trade another type of desolate beast. It seems that she is trying to develop her blessed land. Fang Yuan, who was sitting beside Miao Mingshen, spoke to him. Miao Mingshen smiled. Brother Chu, you might not know, but Fairy Tonghua had just passed a tribulation recently. So that's it. Fang Yuan understood. After a GU immortal passed a tribulation, their immortal aperture's resources would be greatly damaged, but they would gain a lot of Dao marks too. These new Dao marks would modify the immortal aperture's environment, causing it to be more accommodating to different types of resources. Thus, Fairy Tonghua tried to trade for all sorts of resources in this convention, planning to develop them in her immortal aperture. This immortal Tonghua is very affluent. Not only is her immortal aperture managed well, she also has a personal sea area, called Rainbow Aurora Sea. Whenever it is dawn or dusk, aurora light shines above the sea area, weaving with the sky, it is extremely beautiful. This sea area is not far away. After the trading convention ends, Fairy Tonghua will invite everyone to her sea area for a gathering. By then, Brother Chu can go with us. Miao Mingshen said, giving Fang Yuan some information about Tonghua. Fang Yuan gained more understanding of her. Then I will thank you for a recommendation. To speak the truth, I am interested in her light shine fungus. Fang Yuan said directly. No problem, I can help you with that. Miao Mingshen was someone who knew the best way to interact with someone. He gladly took on this task. After the trading of Immortal Gu, his relationship with Fang Yuan improved greatly. Fang Yuan knew why Miao Mingshen's attitude had changed. The reason was none other than lifespan Gu. What could interest Miao Mingshen was undoubtedly lifespan Gu. Fang Yuan used a rank 6 Immortal Gu to trade for a rank 7 Immortal Gu, and he even used a declining strength path Gu. But Miao Mingshen was very satisfied with the transaction. This was because Fang Yuan used 100 years of lifespan Gu to make up for the difference. Lifespan Gu was only Immortal Gu, but it was really rare. Many Gu immortals would keep them in their hands and refuse to trade them. They would keep these lifespan Gu for the time when they really needed it. Miao Mingshen's lifespan was not near its end, but he did not have a lot left. Thus, he was looking for the tributary of the River of Time. He wanted to find some methods to extend lifespan. In the 500 years of Fang Yuan's previous life, Miao Mingshen had entered the Blue Dragon Whale many times to look for the lifespan Gu inside. Fang Yuan offered him lifespan Gu, why would Miao Mingshen not be happy with it? Furthermore, Fang Yuan took out 100 years of lifespan Gu. What did that mean? Miao Mingshen was not dumb, he thought. This meant that Chu Ying had more lifespan Gu. Otherwise, why would he use them so unsparingly? Thus, Miao Mingshen wanted to improve his relationship with Fang Yuan. But he did not know that this was Fang Yuan's intention. Fang Yuan's motives were deeper. The Blue Dragon Whale. According to his previous life's information, Fang Yuan had a greater understanding of this opportunity than Miao Mingshen currently. The transactions continued. During the second round, Gu immortals went up one by one, and most of their transactions succeeded. Soon, it was Fang Yuan's turn. Immortal Gu woman's heart. Fang Yuan was about to trade this rank 6 Immortal Gu away when his expression suddenly changed. Sorry, something happened, everyone, I need to leave early. Fang Yuan said. The Gu immortals were shocked. This trading convention was a rare chance, to think that Fang Yuan was giving up now. But the trading convention was not a restricted event. It was fine if Fang Yuan wanted to leave, they could not stop him. What happened? Do you need my help? Miao Mingshen sent Fang Yuan off. It is not a big matter, but it is urgent. This is such a waste, I am missing out on the trading convention. Fang Yuan sighed. Miao Mingshen quickly said, don't worry, when such a trading convention happens again, I will inform you. I will thank you in advance, goodbye. See you again. Fang Yuan flew off into the clouds, vanishing from sight. Miao Mingshen sighed. Looking at Fang Yuan vanish, he turned around and went back into the cave. While flying in the clouds, Fang Yuan's expression was ugly. He had left earlier because a wisdom path great expert had suddenly tried to deduce his whereabouts. The power from Dark Limit was almost used up. With this huge expenditure now, Fang Yuan was forced to leave the trading convention prematurely. Damn it, which Gu immortal is deducing me? I wonder if they are deducing Fang Yuan or Lu Guanyi. Fang Yuan felt some regret. If he had some more time, he might have traded woman's heart Immortal Gu away. Such opportunities were incredibly rare. After one convention, many Gu immortals would lay low for many years before wanting to trade again. After he got to a safe distance, Fang Yuan used the new Divination Tortoise Shell Immortal Gu, as well as Change Form Immortal Gu. Immortal Killer Move, Divination Tortoise Transformation. Transformation Path Killer moves were so simple and straightforward. Because he lacked the help of Mortal Gu, this killer move's effect was not outstanding. But because of Change Form Immortal Gu, this panacea, although the transformation had none of the battle strength from the Divination Tortoise, Fang Yuan could use it. This Divination Tortoise transformation was to give Fang Yuan more time. A while later, he found a safe environment and placed his Immortal Aperture. For several days, he stayed inside the Immortal Aperture. He started to think about how he could refine Attitude Gu. Even though he had 2 new Immortal Gu, they were not useful for refining Attitude Gu. Fang Yuan was helpless about this. Maybe the third Gu for woman's heart could have been a suitable Immortal Gu. But Fang Yuan missed this opportunity. He needed to stay inside the Immortal Aperture for some time so that Dark Limit could be used again. By then, the trading convention would be over. This means I can only borrow Immortal Gu from Langya Blessed Land. Fang Yuan had a backup plan. But this was a secondary method. The best situation was for Fang Yuan to settle it himself. Borrowing Immortal Gu was not a feasible plan. If Fang Yuan used his own Immortal Gu to deduce an Immortal Killer move to refine Attitude Gu, It would help him greatly, he could even fuse this Immortal Killer move into Reverse Flow Protection Seal. Think about it, by then, Reverse Flow River would flow around Fang Yuan's body, and any Immortal GU that flew inside would be refined by Fang Yuan. How tempting was that? Fang Yuan had a long-term goal regarding this. But it was a pity, even though he joined the trading convention, he did not gain any progress in this aspect. But thankfully, Langya Blessed Land had no lack of refinement path Immortal GU. Through Treasure Yellow Heaven, and after expending Langya's sect contribution points, Fang Yuan borrowed some Immortal GU. A commotion occurred in Treasure Yellow Heaven again, but Fang Yuan had no choice but to do this. Using these refinement path Immortal GU, Fang Yuan came up with an Immortal Killer move using Reverse Flow River to refine Attitude GU. Fang Yuan purposely slowed his movement. Half a month later, he successfully refined Attitude GU. And now, he finally owned this legendary rank 8 Immortal GU.